some sound checks, and we'll go from there. I don't have any music going. It's kind of meh. I could run the
Would
Sentinels in the
probably
background, but I feel like it would get a little tough.
have like generic Mario music in the back. I don't think that would work.
Oh no, Nintendo would strike us down. So,
Really?
oh yeah, Nintendo protects their
I
stuff.
thought. I mean, yeah, but I thought like most game because like it's a gaming thing. Most
I
game
don't
music
know.
isn't like copyright.
I don't know how vigorous. I know if you put it on YouTube, they'll come after it. I don't know if it's how many Mario games are streamed on Twitch because I feel like Nintendo doesn't care about communities and stuff. But anyways, that's different thing. So welcome back everyone. After the lackluster performance by Iron Legacy and quite
Boo.
possibly the quickest game we have ever done, like in
I
20
when did we
minutes.
start? Because like we
We
did start
started we
early
started a
in
little early,
here.
right? So we were like 20 minutes after 8
But we
Pacific.
start.
So I think so maybe it was like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was half an hour. That
Yeah,
was
it's like,
really short.
well,
The
we'll look at the.
receptionist was longer than that.
Oh my god, the receptionist was far longer than that. I think honestly it was the quickest one. I don't know. I don't know what happened. He's rated very high.
I I think the thing is we were failing a lot, and I don't think we were failing because we brought I don't think it was because this time we brought the eighth team. I think it was just because we did not bring Unity. I think that was the deciding factor
Well, I know that.
because it cursed our runs. Whatever boss we brought Unity first, we just started trash.
Well, I feel like
Turned into trash.
that is a good segue into what we're trying to do here. So today we've got the tier list. Today we're gonna do the heroes, and we might get to the villains, but the villains is an incomplete list. So I think the heroes is a full list. Coinless, if you want to go over to the stream and take a quick look, I have it posted up of what tier list we got, folks. What we got going on here. So we have S tier, which is like probably we're gonna go with S tier is like you if you're not trying to handicap yourself, you almost always bring this person or they're OP to the point of broken. A is completely solid pick, should probably go on most runs. B is like above average, good, but not like broken, and maybe not best for all situations. C is maybe good against one or two very niche situations, but below average everywhere else. D is by and large you don't want to bring them because they're just going to detract from the team. And cursed is uh, the character should be taken out back and shot mechanically because they're awful.
Spit
Uh,
on their grave.
we're gonna go with mechanics of this versus like theming because I think a lot of the heroes, I
Well,
think all of them have
I think
have great
yeah.
themes. It's just their mechanics make
I
them
do
be
think
awful.
I think we should add some of it in just because
Oh, okay.
well, this is my opinion. I've seen some tier lists. This is mine and your opinion.
This
So I
this is
feel
true.
like if we even if the character wasn't good, as long as we had fun with them,
Okay.
like that should have like a little bit of contribution to it.
We'll see how that goes. We might have
Not
to like
contribution.
come up with another list or another tier or something
Well,
else
okay. Well,
to
we're not
like.
like
They're
what is
fun to
this
play with,
tier?
but you're always going to lose or
Yeah,
something like that. Like they're
yeah.
fun.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
what's
fun
this
losing.
tier list? So is this pure power, or is this just our like it's gonna be influenced by our own opinion by some
Oh,
people. So
absolutely, absolutely. I think
but
it's, I think it's definitely a care. If you're looking to win a battle, you're going to bring these
yeah,
characters, and then degrees away from that of how good they are.
I would
Uh,
say we should primarily focus on ability. However, I do think we should also factor in uh if it was fun to play because if like it's really strong but it's just incredibly boring to play,
right.
I don't think it should get S tier because it's like that's not really strong. It's just like I feel like what we should do is we should the three main things we should rate it on is the character good? Like can they win battles? That's number one.
Okay.
B are they are they fun to play? Like can you play that character and not get a migraine after it? Or B like
or you need to
enjoy
have your
playing it. Like,
master's degree in order to play
yeah.
the
Or
character.
like you play it and it's like, I guess this is strong, but like you never know what you're doing at, like you just, you know. And then like 3 personal opinions on said character. You know what I mean?
True.
Cuz like cuz if the character is just awful and you but like you just attachment to it because there's like this specific situation where it really shines and you
Hmm.
found a certain play style because everyone has their own play style and all these characters combine differently to do different synergies. So primarily on power, but I do think we should just factor in a few things extra. We like shouldn't just be does this character function? Okay, then they go here. Do they function? They go here. Like we should, have a bit more wiggle room for how characters get placed.
Okay, I'm all for it. We'll see how this goes, and we reserve the right to make another
Yeah.
tier list or alter the conditions of it afterwards. But I think we're just trying to put
I
a.
think the one immutable rule should be we both have to decide on where they fall. We have to agree on it before you
Really?
place them.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. We'll
We
do
can't be
that.
like, okay, I think it's A and and another one thinks it's D and then we put them on our own separate list. We have to
I'll be.
agree on.
I'll okay.
That's the only
And I
that's a
think
solid.
there'll be some averaging.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be
Yeah.
some characters where you're gonna be like S tier. I'm gonna be like D, and we're gonna
Yeah.
end up in B because or C because we're averaging them out. But yeah,
Yeah.
we can go with that.
Yeah.
But before we do, I just want to let
And
everyone
we
know
can like
that
convince.
uh, we do this in support of Extra Life. Extra Life is a charitable organization that the money goes to help kids during their hospital stay. It's difficult for everyone to have a hospital stay and feel sick, but it's even more so for children. So feel free to click on the link in the chat or go to extralife.org and look up Team Rabbit Haberdashery. We have several different team members representing several different hospitals across the United States. Find one that resonates with you and donate. So yeah. Oh, and also like and subscribe to us on our YouTube station or Rabbit Haberdashery One, as well as this Twitch station. That would be awesome. And if this is popular, we'll do more of these. We'll do more tier lists. We'll tier list of tier lists. Um, all right. So who are we gonna start with first?
I think we
Who's
should just go in order. We should
so
just
all
start
right. So
absolute zero.
first one, if you're watching the street, absolute zero. I'm just throwing in the C just for spectating purposes. Where do you think absolute zero? Higher or lower?
Okay. Well, C. Okay. So what's our like? How would we describe the difference between B and C? Like one more time.
I feel that it's like kind of for me it's like 60-40, but B's like the 60% of the time you want to bring them and 40% you don't, and then or excuse me, B is when the majority of the time you want to bring them, while C is the majority of the time you don't want to bring them, and D is like I really don't want to bring them at all, and Cursed is like I will not bring them unless a gun's to my head. That's kind of my thoughts on it. But so
Okay.
I would say in an ideal world, you're never dipping below B.
Yeah.
For your because you can only can bring 5 characters, so you usually don't like if you're not trying to play a handicap of some sort, you would never dip
Hmm.
below B. That's my opinion.
I do. Yeah. Okay.
But I
I
also
do
think we're gonna play some things, and then we're gonna start
move them
in
around a bit.
moving around a little bit because we're gonna be like, well, if that person's a C, then this
Oh yeah.
person's a D because this person's. We can all agree that like this person's lower than this person. So
Yeah. Okay. So starting with absolute zero, I can give absolute zero the fact that he is a good tank. He can absorb a lot of hits.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and if depending on whether they're against fire or ice based attacks, they do get a bit of a boost.
Yes.
Um,
That is his
I
mechanic.
but that's basic as far as I was aware. Like I never like had anything crazy with him, so I probably wouldn't put like I could give him I could feel comfortable with either C or D really. Like like I don't want to give him D because he's not useless.
No,
Like
I would give him D. Because I feel useless is cursed. Or well, I don't know. Cursed might end up being a separate category in itself. Like you do have use,
for me
you
there's
just it just
cursed.
never works. Like I feel like Unity is gonna end up in your cursed pile.
Well, like
I think
for me cursed is they're more like they don't do nothing. They actually like make it worse. Like they actively make like they harm you more than they help you. Like You
Well,
know what I mean?
that conversation will be coming, but
Yeah.
I don't think
D is
Absolute
like
Zero is
they do
cursed.
nothing. Like it's like a net zero. C is
My
there's a bit of a positive. D is there's a net zero.
I'm gonna say D, and the rationales for this is that you can keep Absolute Zero alive because he heals himself, and there's a couple niche things where you can do some damage. But by and large, he's not contributing to the team. He's kind of a waste of a roster slot. He doesn't
I
die.
can.
He doesn't
Yeah.
die, and I do feel that there's some pros out there that probably could squeeze some mileage out of him. He's just he's just not. I also don't find him fun unless you get a certain lineup of cards. And if you don't get that lineup, you're kind of like you're just playing until you get that lineup of cards. So I put him in D. I don't have a high opinion of
All right.
Absolute Zero. That's my opinion. All
Okay.
right. I am Groot's daughter.
Yeah.
Uh, I should.
I
So you played
I
her more
played
than
her.
me, so you're gonna have more vote on. Uh,
I would put her in D, but I'd put her in front of Absolute Zero. Um,
okay. The seed thing is very gimmicky. I find it is cool. I think it's a cool concept. I just think the mechanic, like, it takes too much to build in, and like
she takes a
half the
long time to build up.
half the
Yeah.
battle is done. I think
Oh yeah.
if I was, and this might be hubris of me saying this, like I would tweak her either to give her more of bullet sponge so she could survive longer to contribute or some other things because I feel like yeah, the
Her
seed
whole
thing's
mechanic
cool,
is controlling the environment.
right?
Um,
And yeah, and
so it's good if you have like if you're forced to use a really bad environment,
mm,
or another good situation for her is she does have healing and she has some like good combos. And if the fact it's just a fact that if the game goes long enough, she will have like immense control. She'll maybe not immense per se, but she'll have a lot of good control late game. But the problem is she's like takes forever to ramp up, and that's why I would say she's in D, but she's at the high end of D because she does have her usage. She can be used. It's not super smooth. Like we never like she's in our party. We never like lost a great game, and she did heal the party like on a rather consistent basis. But it a lot of her kit relies on a specific card to be played,
hmm.
which is pretty difficult to get if you're not lucky.
Yeah, I think you do bring up a good usage that we're not playing towards because Road to Oblivion is not geared towards it, but like if you have a really deadly environment, like she would be a character not necessarily to contain the villain, but to contain the environment from being so awful. Like I do see where people could use her in that fashion, and she'd be. We just that's not the way we've been playing Sentinels for a while because the environment's kind of an afterthought, or we just don't want the environment to get in the way of fighting. So yeah, no, I agree with D. Let's keep her in D for now. We can always reserve a right to do some shuffling.
Yeah, high
Uh,
D for her.
Arjun Adept. Uh, I might be mispronouncing his name, but what do you think of him?
Did was it you or Chris that played him?
We both have played. Me and Chris have played him. So my vote is actually really high. I would probably put him. He's definitely B. He might be A tier. I feel like I just haven't learned him enough to make him A tier.
I feel if the
Because if you get some melodies and some he's got like a lot of powers that kind of chain off each other, and you can make him like into like a super healer or a buff, buff. He's very bard centric where he's buffing other people. But I feel that he's probably low end A, like in my mind. He's low end I,
I
high end
wouldn't.
B.
Okay, I don't feel like they deserve an A mainly because like I never like from the time we did play with him, like I remember him buffing and being a bit of a help, but I never felt wow man. Look at what he's doing. Look at that crazy thing he did that totally helped us. He's always been just kind of I'll just chill in the back and do some buffing, but he never like had his moment where I'm like, yeah, that was a big move by him. He never makes big plays, you know.
You're right.
So I
Yeah.
don't feel like he deserves an A because like do you really like would you say he's a contender for someone like Legacy or Tempest?
Well, oh,
Like okay,
that's a
it's
later on
further down.
conversation, further down.
Okay.
But I do every time I played him, I was like, oh man, if I had two melodies out, I only have one melody out, but if I had two melodies out and or I forget what the other, essentially other type of power it's named. Like I always felt like if I had two of these, like he'd be great, but I only have one out, so like he's okay. So, but I'm fine with
Okay.
B. We can keep him with B for now.
I wouldn't inflate his character too much. His like example is I'm just trying to say like sorry, just i- if his character had potential but he never achieved it, I feel like we shouldn't be like, well, he could be good. Like it's like was he
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Like,
you know, was because like from what we played of them, like because it's like if you like 1 in a million chance you get the perfect combination of things, that's kind of like okay, you got the 1 in a million, but if he how good was he when you used him?
hmm.
And I don't remember him being crazy. Like to me, he could have been like I could give him like a high C
Oh, okay.
or
Yeah, we'll keep
or
him
a
in
low
B.
B.
We'll keep him in B for then because I would give him a low A, high B, and I feel like the way I use him, it'd be a B, but I do see the potential for someone getting more mileage out of him.
Okay, I'd say
Benchmark.
we just leave it in B because I don't have any strong opinion on him.
Okay.
And I don't like I don't remember any memorable moments with him that were like it's been a while, admittedly, but he was kind of like he buffs, but eh.
Um, Benchmark. Now, I think Benchmark's biggest challenge
Oh
is we
yeah.
haven't played him that much. We played him a couple times. I was like, oh, he's a pretty cool character, and then we've only played him a couple times in the past month and a half, 2 months. So like we've played,
He
and I
he's
felt he was
okay.
like he was okay. He was solid. Um, it's that's a character I probably would say we should probably take him off the bench and give him a couple more reps. And see.
I would say I say we should just slot him in C for now.
Okay.
Just get him like just say he's okay. C he's okay.
Because his first couple
Nothing
runs, I was like,
astounding.
okay, yeah, he can do stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah, he
he's
didn't.
usable. He probably has a combo or two, but we haven't experienced it, so I would just say, do you want to just put him in C?
All right, so here's Bunker, uh, aka Iron Man. Uh, so I like Bunker for his well, one, he's Iron Man, so that's cool. But two, I like him for his consistency, and his ease of use. Like he was the first character I played, and it's pretty straightforward. He has a great low-powered AOE attack that I tend to like. He has the ability to heal himself. He has the ability to go ham and do some damage, and he does have like the package drop of equipment. So like anytime an enemy dies, he gets to draw a card. So I think he's a good all rounder. I do think I know when we first started playing, if you had multiple minions, like a character, a villain that was throwing a lot of minions out, his AOE was pretty reliable and would be able to good control. Um, Granted, a little cost for your health, but you're able to either heal out of that or anti damage. So I like him. He's not gonna wow you. Like he's not gonna be like some of our other characters
IB.
like guys where he's going to come up with this chain and he's got like 30 negative 30 damage. He's not going to do that for you. But
So
I do think he's easy to understand.
yeah, simplicity is nice. So would you say high B or low, like higher, or would you put him in front of can't read the name,
Argent adept.
Argent Adept?
Uh they're kind of neck and neck. Well, I'm fine with.
I would put Bunker ahead of him just for iconic nature. Like
Okay.
you'd be like, oh, it's Bunker, versus like, oh, it's who?
I definitely think Bunker's a good entry for someone that is this is your first game of Sentinels in the multiverse.
Yeah,
And they'd be like, "What character should I be?" I would say be a Bunker. You could figure that out. It's a little challenging, but like,
yeah,
um, while
just for being
Argent
simpler.
Adept, I would be like, don't pick that as your first character play because you'll be like, you're going to do reading and you're going to be like, what? As you're trying to figure things out. All right,
Mm.
Captain Cosmic.
Mm.
So
Captain Cosmic was pretty good. He's solid. He's pretty solid. Like he has some good techniques.
he's
I
got a
could
lot
put him
of
low
these.
B.
He can buff other people with like kind of like Chrono Trigger style with the bounties, but like where he was able to put these little platforms that protect other people, and he can do damage. He can do damage. He can do other things. So I would give him low B. I would actually put
That'd be yeah.
him. Uh,
I
I
personally liked him more than the other guy,
Bunker.
Argent Adept.
He's definitely
No,
more than Argent Adept. At least the way we used him, I would even say
I
he's more the
I'd
Bunker, but
say
he's a little more complicated than Bunker. That was the
I would
difference.
say I'd probably put Bunker ahead just
Okay,
because between being a bit more iconic and being just a bit more functional, like because Captain Cosmic, you have to really think ahead of what you're gonna. It's more
true.
strategy,
There is more
and that could
strategy.
if you
Of
screw it
course,
up, it
Captain
could just
Cosmic is like you like Captain Marvel. Well, then Captain Cosmic is your.
Green Lantern, all that.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah, yeah. You're right. Somewhere. Uh,
he's a weird. He's in okay. So yeah, he's B, mid B.
all right, so here we go. Chrono Ranger.
Okay, before I go into his actual mechanics, I really like. I could give him S tier for design and character concept alone.
Really, I would. In fairness, I would
Alone,
read. I would
just
read his
yeah.
comic book. Like if
I like out of all of these characters, I would definitely be like a number one fan of Chrono Ranger. He sounds like the most very interesting to me.
I do think Marvel should make a movie, pick up the movie rights, and make a movie,
Interdimensional bounty
Disney.
hunter.
I could see Disney Plus picking that up for a little bit. It'd be a nice Disney Plus like mini series
I
of
could
like
see
eight,
like yeah, I
yeah,
could see like a 6 to 8
like Moon
part
Knight,
series.
yeah, like a Moon Knight
Yeah,
kind of thing where you're like, that was nice, like that's. I do agree with the concept of, um, he's a time cop, but he's a cowboy time cop. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, right?
I
Uh,
feel like okay. I so my opinion on Chrono Ranger from playing him a lot.
okay,
I haven't played him too much, and he is a little like you kind of got to figure out how to play him. But every time I have played him, like if there's one enemy on the board, it's a good idea to have Chrono Ranger, like because he can increase everybody's damage. He basically applies Galvanize.
right.
But he can stack other things on top of it. He takes a bit longer than Legacy, but they stay there. They don't go away,
Hmm.
and he can like start getting a lot of like accumulation.
Yes.
So it may be a stretch to say, but I feel like he is an a low A, very low, maybe on the cusp of being B. But I do think he can fit into the A category pretty
Really?
like comfortably. I do because like
More than Bunker.
he
You would take Chrono Ranger over Bunker.
well
Or
here's the thing Chrono Ranger can heal. He can apply Galvanize. He can use a lot of gadgets. He's pretty like verse. Like he doesn't have as much AOE, but his single target is very strong, and
hmm.
his more range, like his overall abilities, are pretty solid. Like there's no point where I'm like, man, I can't use Chrono Ranger. It's more of like I can use Chrono Ranger, and the longer the game goes, the better he gets.
Hmm. I
I would at
you
least put
make a
him
strong.
above Bunker.
I'll put him above Bunker as well because I have seen. I do think the difference is that you're right. If it's a single villain, Chrono Ranger does better. If it's like
He does solid against multi villains. He's not. He's more single focused, but he
yeah,
still has some range and AOE.
if there's multiple minions coming out, I think he drops in the ranking a little bit. While Bunker, actually, I think for me goes up if there's multiple minions versus one. It's not that he can't; he can convert into his plasma cannon form, but that takes a lot more build up. So
Chrono does have some. Chrono can like spread his things out, and he does have abilities like that help. But like from what like single target is usually his best,
hmm,
and because like his single target is, in my opinion, like it's so good that it boosts him just over the edge of B. Like
okay,
it's not just like Bunker is overall good, like but Chrono Ranger is overall good and has a little something extra that just tips him over into A. Low A but A.
really. I don't know if I can get him to A, and I think as the list goes on, I'm going to be comfortable with this because I think we're going to have a lot of people that were like, oh yeah, they clearly need to be an A. Um,
Okay.
so, but I will give them the highest B. Uh, but
Okay.
we can revisit it later. See if we need to shuffle it.
Okay.
How about
So
how
the
about
doctor.
Doctor Medico? What's your thoughts on Doctor Medico?
I at least for now, I would put him at peak of C.
Peak of C.
Um,
Okay.
the main reason is he is very niche. He is, his job is if you want a healer, you bring him like exclusively to be a healer. Maybe do a little bit of other things, but you basically bring him to heal. Um, so he's not like you're not like gonna use him for many other things. So like if you have another healer, then you're not gonna bring him. Or if like he's something that he's like someone you would add on to the team because you're like lacking in healing. He's not
Right.
like
You
you
got
wouldn't
someone
bring him
that's
exclusively for everything he does.
you're squishy or you're trying to build like a tank build where you're healing
Yeah.
somebody else. So I get frustrated with Dr. Medico. I think his as a comic book character, I think he's great. But as a skill set, I get frustrated because you think you're bringing a healer, and I don't feel that he's the most amazing healer. He's okay, but like for someone that's like the whole premise of the character is like I heal people. Like I feel like he should be the go to character you bring for consistent healing, and I don't feel like it's consistently
Yeah.
amazing. Honestly, Tempest is a better healer if you can get that card out. The Scholar can out heal. Granted, he's healing himself, but he can out heal Doctor Medico. It feels like some of the half the time. So like I don't know. I get a little frustrated. I want him to be more of a healer than he is. But I do think, yeah, I think he's a solid C. Um,
Yeah, I'd solid C. Like the main thing, if he had more healing ability, like that was a bit more like oomph, or he just had better overall abilities, I would bump him higher. But if you want a healer, you bring him, and if you have other healers, you don't need him. But if your entire team is lacking healers, like he's good for that, but he's too niche.
I think
But he's not bad.
he should either have like a stronger AOE heal than Tempest, or he should be able to heal one character substantially well.
He
And
kind of can, but he doesn't.
right, but I'm thinking so when I say those things,
Yeah.
I'm thinking either an AOE heal of like 3 to 4, or a single person heal of like
Eh,
6 plus.
I think
Like,
he kind of has those. But like
but
they're
you
like
can't
one
consistent.
card.
Yeah, like
It's not consistent.
you can't like um that's kind of where I want him, and that's kind of it's not his fault. It's like the Tempest healing everyone for 2 is just that's 10 points of healing around. Like you can't, and
Yeah.
it's you can't get around it, you know. And then like uh, you have people like the Scholar who can heal themselves, or even Absolute Zero can heal himself pretty well. So like yeah. Anyways, that's where I'm kind
Yeah,
of
I think
at.
that's solid. I think we agree on that pretty well.
Uh,
Next is
Expatriate. Now this is a favorite of Chris's. I think she's solid. I want to remember how Chris's play style with it, but yeah,
yeah, I would give him a B, a high B
a
probably. I
high
would put
B.
them right below Crone. I would put them somewhere between like either to the left or the right of Bunker. I could go for like below Bunker because they do have some pretty good damage output, but like it is like very taxing on them. They
Yeah.
synergize what when anytime we use them, they synergize pretty well with like Omnitron X or
Hmm.
Omni because the whole thing. But like they have decent guns and they rely a lot on their ammo. So if you don't get like the ammo soon and it burns out fast, so
Yeah.
I could give them like below Bunker just
So
because she's a bit inconsistent.
I'll go with below Bunker. I honestly think
She does good
more.
damage.
I think Captain Cosmic could beat her, but I think consistently Expatriate will deliver more consistency than Captain Cosmic can.
I think her damage is better than Cassim Cosmic, but I don't think she heals very well. She doesn't have really any.
And
she's
she
not
doesn't
really
buff other
defense
people. Well,
based.
Captain
Yeah, no
Cosmic
buffs, no
buff.
real
Well,
defense.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next one's Fnatic, and I love Fnatic. I think Fnatic's A tier. And you pair Fnatic, you pair it with some of the legacy, like their standard. They might have one of the strongest powers in the game, base powers in the game, because if Legacy's buffing, she does 4 damage, 2 radiant, and then 2 physical. I believe it is melee damage for a base power. She has some cards as well that can wipe the board. So if things are just looking awful, she's got like the nuclear card where everyone just destroys all their cards and starts over. But sometimes you need that because like it's the enemy is snowballed against you or the environment or both, and you're just like, I have less to
Yeah.
lose to go nuclear than you do, and I think so she can equalize.
She she does hurt herself a lot though. So she's like,
She's got a problem.
so
Yeah,
if
yeah.
she's
She
going up
she needs to
against
see
like a
she
strong
needs,
character
yeah.
who
She
like does one big hit, she's gonna break fast.
I think
I
Tim
feel like
was an
that is
excellent
one of her
example
weaknesses.
of if you're not paying attention and not doing the math and not paying attention to cards you play, you can deal yourself enough damage where you've removed yourself from play and hurt the team that way.
In
Uh,
my own head, I would put her above Chrono Ranger just barely, so I do feel like it's fair to give her
I
low A.
I think we're in the same place. I think she's going to be a low A when we got up there, but I do think she's A tier. Is I do I'll be honest, if I have to bring Bunker or Fnatic, I'm bringing Fnatic in most situations. And if I'm bringing Legacy, like it's a no-brainer. I think she bumps to high A tier with Legacy. Um,
Yeah, but yeah.
but I know you could have the
Okay.
counter argument of like once you bring
Okay.
Legacy. But anyways, we'll save that for a. So guys, so I'm thinking
All right.
he's like D, right?
No. Okay. I'll put him in S tier for his character concept. Uh, I would put I could I convince you to put him in S tier? Could I? And just hear me out.
Okay, I'm
He
hearing.
has once he gets started, and like compared to characters that have ramp up, he doesn't take that long. He takes like 3-4 turns, which could be a bit wild. But like once he gets started, he can do like 60, like 30 to 40 damage in a turn, like one like rotation, like huge amounts of damage. Um, he's also like really good support because he can get rid of ongoing cards like we saw last round. He can self heal. He can copy other characters' abilities and ongoing, so he can is so he's good by himself. And if you have a good team, he becomes exponentially better because he can double galvanize. He can use Tempest's like buff ability. He basically can copy and swap out other abilities. He like and he basically can just constantly do like a large amount of damage, and he always can consistently he can control his he can always control like his own character, like drawing a card, playing an extra card. He always does damage, like at least like, and he can also apply buffs to like to enemies. He Gauze is, well, he wouldn't like he does have a bit of a weakness when it comes to ramping up. That is only if you don't play, like if you play him well, he can like fit into any slot. Like he can be used for anything. Is like, and like basically he's like the glue that holds all the other cards together. So like he's just good. Like there's no reason you can't bring Gauze as long as you're not intentionally handicapping yourself.
So
What's
uh
now? That's my opinion.
okay. So my opinion is you had me at hello. You have played him expertly and convinced. So let's first off the character. He's Deadpool. He's Deadpool, and Deadpool is a
Yeah,
fun comic book character. That's why he's got several movies. He's got another one on the way. We all love Deadpool. The humor infused in his cards is just it's just seeping with humor, which you love. So
it's fun to
it's
read
ST,
his cards,
it's
in
fun.
my opinion.
It's
His
fun.
cards are fun. His build is interesting. He he is a little confusing, but
He
I do feel he's very if you know how to play
if
him,
you spend the
he is
time,
one of
yeah,
the best cards in the game. Just
I
one
I,
of the best in the game,
I
hands
would
down.
not recommend a first person first time playing this game, or even second time playing this game, picking this guy because you might get a little frustrated, or you're going to get a negative opinion of him. But if you've been playing the game for a little bit, I think it is worth investing in understanding his cards because you've clearly proven that not only does he turn the tide of battle, he kind of owns most of it, and like he definitely gives you a lot of hope of like some crazy shit I can pull out of my butt is going to happen. I think his mimic ability is probably the most OP part of it because he's able to pick that stuff. I also give a
Mm.
kudos to the developers that I think he's one of the only characters that's voice acted. He actually says boohoo and says like, says a
Oh
couple
yeah, that's
words,
true.
and he has the little hands up mechanic or the high five mechanic and all that extra stuff like no other character has. So
The character has so many like extra things to him that just make him so interesting.
so I
And he
do
can like yeah.
I do think that like he does make any team better, and he is a force to be reckoned with. Like you can almost drop a team from 5 to 4, depending on the character, maybe even 3 if you pair guys with a couple other strong tier characters. So yeah, you almost want to bring, as you said, you want to bring him on every battle unless you're intentionally trying to handicap yourself. Or I mean, I guess he's only as good as the other team. So if you brought a team of like all
Well, no,
D-listers,
he.
you're going to
Well,
see
the
a
thing is,
performance
even by
degradation.
his performance will drop a bit, but even by himself, he still has massive damage.
True.
That is one thing he does have. He just has lots of damage by even by himself, and he buffs everyone else's damage too.
You're right. I think there's few. We're gonna find that I think there's few true S tier, but guys does belong up there. So we'll leave him up there in the top spot right now.
I'm actually surprised that I didn't think I could. I was I'm happy I did
I
because I
I
do
don't.
think he.
You have more fun playing him than I do because at least but I played him initially when I was a little more novice at this game,
Eh,
and I recognized him like there's a lot of reading here, um, but and a
Yeah, the
lot
thing
of
is
like
like you learn
strategizing.
that like the first half of it is just kind of a joke, and then
Right,
the actual thing is right under. Yeah,
and I
there
I
is a
get
learning curve, but
and
just
yeah, like I get. I think initially when I read the cards when I first saw him, I was like, he's all a joke. I just kind of chalked him up to he's the joke character. Like you don't play this guy to actually play a game. You play this because he's entertaining, and I was wrong on that. So yeah, I'm fine with leaving him up there. We've proven that most games that his win percentage is nuts. So we'll leave him up there for
yeah,
now.
he's my favorite. I love
Oh
him.
well, we'll have that conversation
He
afterwards.
okay, no, he's my personal favorite. He's one of my favorite characters. The only thing he doesn't have is like I can't like make a goofy joke with him because he's just is the
He is the
joke.
embodiment of the goofy joke.
Yeah, which is kind of a positive. Okay, okay, Haka
Haka. Now, we haven't played
D
Haka.
D tier.
D. Okay.
I'm
Why?
joking. I'm joking.
Okay. All right.
Uh, I just okay. So I'm not gonna put him in D tier, but I personally never had fun with Haka. Like
That's fair.
he got punched in the face. He took hits. He had like I've seen like he has potential. Like he has this move where like you can stack all these corpses under him, but it's like it's it's not like a guaranteed you stack up stuff. It's like it's a ramp up move, but the ramp up move is like you need to get the card, you need to equip it, and you need to get the kill for your own character. You need Haka to get that kill, that last hit, which isn't always the best when you have AOE. Um, and he doesn't have a lot of real ways to heal himself. Like
Hmm.
for being a character that gets punched a lot, he can't like recover.
I
Like even Gauze can recover HP like a good chunk of the time, but Haka can't really.
I do feel like he should have more damage deflection than he does. Like I feel
Yeah,
like when someone's like, when you imagine like someone punches the Hulk just kind of stares at their fist and be like, "What are you trying to do?" I feel like Haka's character should have more of that mechanically. It does a little bit, but it's not as uh hulky. So for me, I like the character design. It's like I
yeah.
love the name. I love all that, but I feel mechanically it's I do think actually I think it should be in the C tier because I think there's
I
a
think
potential for
low
the
C.
stealthy or for the skilled player to make him a B tier play character, and maybe there's some situations like environment situations or some other uh, where he could add to the team. But I do think that he doesn't realize full potential, and it's clear because
Mm.
we know of his character. We don't pick him that often. Uh,
I
so
because like what
I
holds him
think
back is
he's better than
yes, I agree
Absolute
with C.
Zero, but I think he's kind of like I think he's in the right spot right here as the low end of C tier. I think that's kind of where he's
Because
gonna
like
belong.
my opinion, because like he has like his only major damage output isn't guaranteed and is highly specific in order to do it. He doesn't have a lot of good healing. Like he doesn't have reliable healing. He doesn't. He's kind of a tank because like the only real thing that like you could call him a tank for
Mm,
is he starts with a bigger HP pool than most characters, but he can't like maintain it,
right.
and the biggest thing is his main damage is really bad unless you get his tool out. Like he doesn't do okay damage unless you get his tool.
Yeah, it's tough. I
Yeah,
think he's in the right spot. But you're
I
all
feel
your
like
points
if
are
they made
right.
him a little bit better, he could be B, but he just isn't.
If they made him either deal a little more damage, I think it'd be ideal if he was able to deflect more damage or protect, or as in tank for the group. I could see where say he negates damage, and more damage is directed towards him, so he's able to kind of like smoke bomb, or essentially like how you play the scholar build sometimes, where uh, yeah. So, but yeah, I'm kind of yeah. Let's leave him there for now. All right. So now we have, is it the harpy?
It's the bird lady we play. You played.
No, that was
You
the
have the
matriarch.
strongest one.
Um,
Matriarch. That's the
but
matriarch.
that's the matriarch when she's turned to good. I think
Yeah,
we've only played her once or
one
twice,
time.
and I think she did a little bit of damage. I don't remember what my opinion is of her. I don't think I was wowed, but I don't think I was disappointed. But it's not
She
someone
sounds like a. Would you just want to put her okay above or below Hawk?
so I think she's below Haka.
Okay.
But whether that means she's top D tier or she's low C tier is a good question. I would almost,
We don't know. We don't
I,
know her kid enough.
we don't, and this might be, people might look at us like you guys don't know what you don't know. I'm gonna put her top of D tier because I don't think
I'm
I
gonna leave her C tier just because
oh,
I,
okay.
I like I'll put her below Hawkeye just because like
She's
she
still below
wasn't.
hockey either way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like you didn't feel like, man, I did like I wish I could do this, but her abilities don't let me. It was more of I don't know, right? It's more of just
It wasn't
uncertainty than it
obvious to
is
me,
like
and yeah, like I don't think it was bad, but I don't think she. Uh, Again, I think she kind of falls into the same category, maybe a little less than Benchmark. Benchmark was like, oh, yeah, he's good. I feel like there could be more to him. Like I could see Benchmark going up, and same with her. I think she could go up quite a bit but as of right now,
I say if we just feel really weak, but we don't feel negatively about a character, we just leave them somewhere in C,
okay.
and it's just how we feel about them compared to other characters. I
Next,
actually
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you play this one a lot, Visioner. From what I saw you play, I would probably put her like dead center of B tier or like above bunker.
Who are we
I
talking
don't know
about?
how you. Visionary, the Illuminary, the next character in the lineup.
Oh, Idealist. I'm picking up Idealist.
Idealist.
All
I
right.
can't read their names; they're too tiny for my screen. I'm not
Yeah,
zooming in.
so the Idealist is next. Visionary is another
Yeah,
character, but not next. So
yeah, different.
Idealist. So she is the Green Lantern build, right? She was the one that was
Yeah,
yeah. So
she ramps up a lot. I think you didn't play her great, and that was the only
whoa,
reason.
whoa.
No, you admitted it because you played one card when you meant to play the like you did the
I think
AOE when
she
you
would
meant to do
be
the single
top.
target.
I think she's top C, and I
Okay.
do think she could be higher. And so I think her mechanics. I wasn't playing her well, and I think her weakness is she's a little more squishy than the average hero. So like I've every time I play her, she hasn't taken any damage yet, I'm already nervous because I think she's like the lowest starting hero health.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say she's under 20 for health just to start off with. I do think she is able to do damage, and I could. She's either top C or very bottom B tier for me.
I
Um,
feel I like her more than Choir Boy
okay,
down at the
all right.
villain
I'll
B,
put her up there. Wow,
because she
Choir
does
Boy
have
is
some.
falling in your rankings. I see music.
I don't. I feel like he's more C to me, honestly. But I can understand B because buffing is good. So I would leave him.
B
Like
is for buffing.
well, B is for bunker, B is for buffing.
Yes.
I mean, that's honestly like we have got most of these are just like bunker, buff, and then. But yeah, I put her above Choir Boy mainly because she
That's
does
fair.
have some solid damage potential. Like if with single target, like you stack her, like she's a build up character. You don't just hit something and do damage. You wait like 1 or 2 turns, you strategize, and then smack them in the head with like some big attacks.
I do think she's kind of glass cannon-y because the entire game I play, every game I've played with her, I'm always nervous that she's going to drop first. Um,
Okay,
you know,
she didn't really drop at all, which is good.
she didn't,
I mean,
but I was thinking, I was worried about it, and she was probably the among the lowest. Now, when she's part of the whole group of the Sentinels, I think in a weird way that's more balanced because she has other characters in that set of four. She still is the super squishiest. I think she's 16 health for that one, but she has other people that can kind of pick her up, and then all those are synergies. But we're in it. But yeah, we'll leave her there. I won't talk out the Sentinels too much before.
all right.
Uh, Knife.
Below Doctor and C.
Okay.
Because she can hurt her allies with a couple of her
I
skills.
would go to say I would push her lower than definitely lower than benchmark. Um,
That's fair. I can see that.
Below Haka.
Uh, I don't know, like, because you could bring her for damage. Like, if you want to hit someone kind of hard, you can bring her. Like, you know what her role is in the team, and
Yeah,
she could hurt your allies a bit. But if you're planning on it, like, you can use him pretty well. Haka is like you bring him because you just didn't think of anybody else to bring. You know what I mean?
is that the cutoff? Like in the C tier, somewhere in the C tier is like you're good at one thing, and then there's the you're not good at anything, but you're not bad at anything. Like there's the
Yeah,
cutoff.
that's
There's the
kind of
cutoff is
that's
like if you have a pistol, they're okay. But if you don't have a pistol, like they're okay. They just not they're a
that's
B
kind of what
student.
well, C tier is meant to be kind of underwhelming to kind of like in a specific situation,
Sure.
and then D is kind of just trash, and they couldn't like if you made them a bit better, they'd be better, but
Right.
you know
Like
what I mean.
I think we would at the end of this we would resubmit D tier characters to the developers and be like they need
It
tweaking. They
just
need
tweak them a
buffing.
bit.
They need a buff. They need to be
Yeah,
buffed up a little bit. Like
maybe I like yeah, just a little tweak to like make their kits work a bit better. Or
I agree with that.
C is like they're okay, or they're like they do something, but like it's nothing. It's nothing that makes you go, "Ooh, this is interesting." It's more like, okay, they're there.
So
All right.
next one is La
La Capitale.
well, it's La Capitan, but she's reformed, so she's La she's like time she's also like the time captain.
Yeah,
So I want to say I liked her, but we haven't played much of her. But she, I feel like she could be. I'm definitely thinking around benchmark, but I also think like I want to say there was a couple moves that I was really hamming on in a couple matches where
I feel like her synergy potential is pretty good. Like she has some good abilities.
I
But again, like
I would put her low B tier. I feel like she's near the idealist now that I'm thinking about it.
I well, okay. Your stronger opinions on it than I do. I thought like if we comboed her well with some like she could do some stuff, but she just from what it doesn't seem like you did whatever.
I want to say that she has this. I want to say it was like the pirate ship card or something like that that came out, and clearly that pirate ship card is like a strong card, and the other card's okay, but
Yeah,
like
she could be, for all we know, she could be bordering on S tier, and we just we haven't played her enough.
We haven't played her enough. I
But we
definitely.
do know she's definitely better than C tier. I know that for a fact.
So I'm gonna put her underneath the idealist, but I feel that
Yeah.
if we play her more, she might reach higher levels. So
Yeah. I feel like she could be a contender for Chrono's spot if we played her a bit more. But
I
for
I
now I
think
feel
so. I think
I
you're
don't
right.
wanna like I don't wanna overinflate her potential before we actually finish the
Yeah, no
fight.
one wants to pull an Iron Legacy on her and over talk her up, and then
Yeah.
she's nothing. Oof,
And now
that would
she's
be awkward.
immortalized as
That
yeah, that would
would
man,
be
wouldn't
awkward.
it?
Uh,
Okay.
so okay, all right, Legacy. So you got. I'm gonna just do it. You got to put the boy in S tier. Um,
I I can give you that.
but
I can give
but
Legacy S
I will
tier.
I will do this. I will have the
I want you to
debate.
explain it to me though.
Fair. And right now I will put him under guys, but as S tier. And so, and I think it's also this legacy is better than the other variations of legacy because I think hands down the +1 to all attack buff is just objectively better because it costs you nothing. It's a base power, and everyone gets +1 to their damage set. And it just, if you got any sort of DPS build going on, which most only niche villains do not go, you're not trying to like DPS them. You bring him. He's got another one. He's got another skill where he negates all damage except to him. He has a, he can be immune to a certain type of damage, which means if you play your cards right, you have a very niche villain that's like only fire or anything like that. Like you can essentially be immune to that damage. Um, there's just a lot that you can do with legacy, but the base legacy is probably all you need. But I mean, there's been a lot of game. So I would say the two cards that are the best is the heroic interception, where no one else gets damage except for you, and then there's a card takedown, which shuts down the villain from playing any cards. There's been so many games we've won where I play takedown and the villain can't deal anything. So essentially, the villain doesn't have a turn. I mean, they can do a power or whatever, but they can't play a card. Or no one else is getting damage except for legacy. Um, so that's my reason rationale for legacy. Why would you not bring him?
Yeah, no, I can if someone deserves it, like from the core cast, Legacy is definitely there because you want to bring Legacy. He's good.
The only thing he's
Uh,
not good at is DPS, direct DPS. He has a
yeah,
couple cards that you can do like four damage, but that's not his. He is like the uber support
yeah.
character, while Guys is like the uber mimic, can do damage. He can do everything.
The reason I'd keep guys above Legacy is he will do damage, good damage, and he can also do everything Legacy does. Like if you put Legacy in his team, it's like the reason guys is better is mainly just because his potential goes higher. Like he isn't as like he doesn't have as much of a cap. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
true.
Legacy is good. His entire set is good. Uh, but like there's nothing that'll be like, man, this is gonna like curb stomp the enemy. It's you have to rely on somebody else for that. That's where
No,
you
I
know what I mean.
I think Legacy's three abilities is to take down, shutting down the villain's ability to play any cards, the heroic interception, preventing any damage from anyone else. That's the true tank, and then the +1 buff, the galvanizing. Those are the three
But his
skills.
power is incredibly good.
Everything else just circles around those three card plays, depending on what villain, what timing you got. And the fact that he has +1 as a base power, I think he arguably has one of the best base powers in the game for the heroes as like standard built. And yeah, um,
We have two S tiers and only one A tier. Okay.
yeah, I
We'll,
think we're gonna,
we'll
I think
we're gonna
we're gonna find.
man, I think we might have to push some either a bunch of A tiers are gonna show up, which is probably true, or we're gonna have to start pushing a few to B from B to A. But I think we should just
So
go to the next one
all right,
for
so
now.
next one's Lifeline. So
I played him once.
I played him like once or twice myself. He does have a little. I think he has a heal steal ability kind of deal.
Yeah.
I
Seemed
think he's
he
C.
had potential. I
I
would
think he's
say
C. I
the
don't know where he.
um right around the cyborg. I can't see the names.
Knife or benchmark.
Yeah, like knife, like right above knife, because
Okay,
he does. I think he can do okay damage.
I would do that.
I feel like he's a bit more reliable than knife, less of a
Yes,
potential hurt your allies.
yes, I agree with that. But I do feel that we should play them more.
Yeah,
Um,
no, the C tier is actually characters that if we decide to,
yeah,
let's see how things go
I
out. These are like characters you could probably like take a shot at.
yeah,
Maybe
I do
surprise
feel
people.
like we're learning a lot of characters we need to do our homework on and play them a little more because we're finding like we're leading heavily into the ones that are uber. Um, Luminary. So essentially, Baron Blade, gone, good guy.
So many dead lava villages.
um, I don't. We only played him once or twice. I don't feel that he was bad. I don't feel like I was wowed. I feel like he's somewhere around Lifeline and Knife. He's still a C character. But
Really?
yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I didn't see too much of him, like, but I know he had a couple of ability. Like, one of his gimmicks was he got out a lot of. He was a gadgeteer. He had a lot of gadgets that popped out.
Sure.
Um, and some of his cards did seem pretty useful. Like he had a bit of oomph behind him, and he was never really initially like you could bring him in a team, and he wouldn't. Like I could see him like at top of C tier or the very bottom of B tier.
Hmm.
I'll leave that final choice up to you then,
Wait.
because you played him.
So wait, bottom of B tier, top of C tier.
Yeah, in that range.
Hmm. I would put him top of C tier.
Okay.
I do think I would put him on the list of characters we need to play more to see if that's justified or not.
Yeah.
Uh,
I felt like from what I saw of him, like we just didn't have a great like we only played him like a few times and we just didn't get good cards for him because you can get a bad hand. That's the thing.
all right. So next up is Mainstay.
I feel like it's an easy A tier.
Yeah, I think the name implies Mainstay. I put him above Fnatic. I think he
Yeah. I
I
wouldn't give him S tier though, but
he's
I
not
could
he's
maybe
not
give
broken. And that's the
no.
thing. Like S tier is kind of it can be it can break the
Yeah, you can
game
just kind of yeah.
in a certain way where you're like you're OP. I don't feel I can say that Mainstay's OP. I just feel like he's just quality. Like, oh, we need to
He's
fill
good
out a roster.
DPS.
He's good DPS and he can tank a little bit and he's just good. He's just good solid DPS.
Hmm.
And I think you pair him with a person like Legacy who +1 to all damage, then um, he becomes like if you pair him with Legacy, he becomes S tier. I think because his
Yeah.
damage output is just nuts. So I think,
But he does destroy all of his equipment, so it does like
but also I don't feel bad about it because I feel most of his equipment's there to be destroyed.
oh yeah.
Like
So like if
he
you
goes
pair him
through a
with a
lot of
character
jackets and
destroys like
motorcycles. That's what, like as
oh
a
yeah.
comic book character, like he is just his wardrobe is going like every episode he is going through a whole wardrobe and a whole bike shop full of bikes just to beat the bad guy. But
Okay, so pretty solid.
yeah,
Mr. Fixer, next up on the list.
so I
I
I
actually
feel
feel
like
A tier.
really okay. Let's talk about that for a second. I like him. I don't think I get the A tier with him, or maybe low A tier.
I'd
Maybe.
say well the thing is because when we used Mr. Fixer, like we were like, okay, he is keeping us in the game. Like
Yes, that was
his set is very solid. Like
yes.
that could have been like an amazing hand for him, but like his abilities work and they work consistently. Like he might not he never like he can we kind of like he had one ability that was so good we didn't and we needed it
That's
that we
true. It
couldn't
was
really
like a
make him use
deflect
other
damage or
abilities.
something like that. It was
Yeah,
it negated damage, or you were able to redirect damage, or something like that. And it was one of those things of like, that's all we need you to do, Mister Fixer, is just do
yeah.
keep doing that. Just
I
exist to
guess
do
you could.
that, and it's kind of like Legacy's galvanizing buff. If you go through a turn and you just do that each turn, we're fine. We can. The rest of the team will figure it out. You
I
know.
guess you could say that because he just keeps using only one ability, he's not quite A tier. But like I could like his abilities are useful. He has a couple bad cards, I think, but overall he's low A tier. But I think I could give him A tier because I personally feel that like between him and Chrono Ranger, like Fixer is like he at least like Chrono Ranger has like overall good abilities, but nothing's like if it's not going to push him into A tier, then like Mr. Fixer has at least one card that's like you will use that card.
That's true.
So I feel like we
I can
should
go
at
with
least
that.
give
I
him
think
A tier,
he's low A tier.
bottom
I
of
think
A
he's
tier.
above Chrono Ranger because you're right. When he's doing that damage deflection thing, like that's his you know
You can use it every
moment.
turn.
You can use it every turn. But in fairness, he's always able to deal a little bit of consistent damage. So like that's where he kind of like the same as Chrono Ranger, but those couple choice cards put him over the top of Chrono
Mm,
Ranger in my mind. So I
yeah,
agree with that. The Naturalist. So this is
you
the
haven't
one
played
that's
them.
able. I played him. You were able. This is where we're like antelope form versus like rhino form. I think he's B tier. I think he's kind of high in B tier. I think there's some synergies. There's the so I remember having to choose the form, and that was a huge play. And you wanted to hop. You could hop forms. Um, I I feel like it's somewhere around Expatriate, and I think I might even put him a little higher than Expatriate.
Pepula Bunker.
Below Bunker, um,
Hmm.
I could go above Bunker.
I would keep him below Bunker
Okay.
just from
I think
in my
that's
opinion
ease
like
of use. I think ease.
yeah.
There's a little more niche with the Naturalist because there's certain forms where I remember being like, it does, but I think it's well built, as in oh, this form is good for now because we're on defense, but when we switch to offense, like I want to get to this form, but when I switch, there's build up. Like there's definitely build up where you also get stuck in a form. You're like, I'm in deer form, I'm doing awesome right now, but I want to pivot to crocodile form, but like that's gonna make me a round or two where I'm not very effective.
Mm.
So I think he's built where he's not OP, but he's
Yeah.
solid B tier. I think that's
So I would say yeah, good B tier. Okay.
Night
Mrs.
Mist.
McSmokes a lot. Got that good old smoker voice, honey.
That's right.
From what I saw, would put them in D tier or very bottom of C tier.
And why is
But
that?
you, from what I saw, they just like they just kind of were on the field and they had some abilities, but they had to keep destroying their cards to do stuff. But that like would hurt themselves to do that, so they were like killing themselves to kind of be okay-ish.
I
But
I
you
think
you
she was.
played the character
I
before,
want
so
to say what I remember, and it's been a while. That much like Absolute Zero, like she was able to negate her own damage, but she really wasn't able to contribute to the team's effort. So like Absolute Zero, she was just kind of like, you know, she could hold her own, but she wasn't like, why would the team bring her along? There might be some nuances, but I would put her D tier. But I probably put her higher D tier. I would want to try her out more than the other D tiers. I don't feel that I can get any mileage out of Absolute Zero and I Am Groot daughter. I think she's so niche that I wouldn't really want to play her because like unless you're trying to control the environment, I wouldn't even try it. So I would put her D tier.
where would you put her D tier?
I have
High.
highest D tier, but that's not really saying much right
Okay.
now.
Omnitron X. I would.
You have proven to me that Omnitronic X is definitely solid A tier, and I would.
I put him above Mr. Fixer.
Really?
Um,
Not above. Not.
I could feel
Be,
comfortable putting them above Fnatic.
okay.
But I actually wouldn't put them above. Uh, so I'm putting them above Fnatic mainly just because, like, if you can avoid getting like the character hit in the face all the time,
Mm.
they can build up a lot of gear and they can go hard and they have singularity. So if they synergize with a character like so if you get like a bunch of gear based characters,
Mm.
like they can do very good, like especially with that like singularity. But if you take them like off an equipment team, they're still good, but they don't contribute as much. So it's like they sometimes it, they they're good and they're versatile, but they aren't perfect, and that's why I wouldn't like put them S tier, and I wouldn't put them above. Like they're a bit harder to pull off than mainstay, I'd say. But I do feel that they're a bit more reliable than
I definitely think Omnitron X can, through your performances, I think definitely higher than Fnatic and Mr. Fixer. Mainstay, so I could put him above Mainstay, and the rationale is I think he is at the best, like he's A tier, but he has S tier moments when he pulls off a singularity, or when he's immune to all the damage, or he's got like so many pieces of equipment out there that like he's able to. So I do think there's S tier moments that Omnitron.
I won't argue with you. I'll move it up.
So I actually could put either top of A tier or bottom S tier as it
I
stands.
wouldn't put it. I don't want to just start filling it with S tier. I want S tier to be special.
Okay, so I would put Omnitron X as top of A tier because I think.
I can do that.
But you do acknowledge the one weakness I do think is you're right. If he takes 5 or 6 damage, like he falls down the ladder all the way to the bottom, like
Yeah, but that's
because
why you gotta play him smart.
right, or
And
you gotta have another character complementing his skills where he's not gonna take that much damage.
but if you don't like, if you are able to play smart and do things right, he can just get crazy amounts of stuff to do, like versatility, everything out the wazoo. It's great, but it's you got to be smart.
Next one is Parse. So
Parse,
Parse,
D tier, bottom of D tier.
bottom of D tier, below
Okay,
absolute zero. Let's hear it.
yes. She didn't really do any like I played her once,
Yeah.
but for like I basically played like most of her kit because it was one of those long games where you just kept using cards. She like didn't have any abilities that did anything. Like she had like one or two abilities which were meant to synergize. Like they were like she was a build up character. That's like, oh, if you get these cards out, I'll be good. But then you get the cards out and they didn't actually do very much. Like she
Hmm.
did a little bit of damage, but that literally like she just basically was she does one damage and that's it. She didn't have anything where she wasn't like good at anything. Like she didn't have anything like that made me go like, man, this character has this about them that makes them okay. She was like, there was nothing really about her that was like she does a bit of damage,
She
but
does
it's
like
pathetic.
one damage. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of
one
like
damage hit, and everything else is like a build up to something that's like lackluster. There's no kaboom. Like she did one okay thing once during like the two times I played her, which was not good.
so I agree with you. Like she was able to do if you need a hero to bring one damage each round, she can do that most of the time.
That's
Uh,
anybody can do that
but
almost.
well, you say that, but like I would
Almost.
say the people in the D tier actually can't consistently bring that. Um, but I do think
But
D
they have
tier.
more potential.
I do think D tier is that I definitely think her. If I was to submit stuff some to rework people heroes, she would be one. Or you need people in the bottom of the tier list too. So
The
at
thing is
parse, she's
the reason
boring
I put
too as a
yeah, I
character.
put her at the bottom because unlike the other characters where you every turn you can do something, like there's something in their kit that you can like manage, like there's something in the kit to use. She literally is just like you. There's times where you should literally just skip your play turn
That's
to just
I
and
do
just do
remember that there
nothing.
was just like there's nothing. This person.
And I can't use these 3 cards because they need to be build-up cards. So I literally just have to skip turn, and she doesn't have any draw cards. Like, not a lot. I didn't get any, so I was just like, I have to just sit there and literally skip my turn. So
I
that's
do.
why, like, I also put her lower. Like other character, you get a card, you play a card.
I
Her, you don't.
I do think that that is contingent for the tier list too. Of like, the difference between a C and a D is a C is you got one thing you can do reliably, while D is like you can't reliably do anything. Um, my only argument, is like sometimes Absolute Zero could, like Absolute Zero and I Am Groot
Yeah.
daughter
To
can.
me, I don't count the power aspect.
Mm,
Like I mean, in the instance of like C is either they fit into a niche where they have one thing they're good at, or they're just overall lackluster, but they don't like they contribute something.
sure.
And then D tier is they're starting to become like their kits just don't function well enough. Like they're starting to become more of a hindrance than they are a benefit. Like they're like almost like they do more harm than they do good. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree with you. I think we're all in alignment that like Parse can stay at the bottom. Um, their kit's not good. It's just not fun to play with, and yeah, it's just all around. They're detracting from any team you bring. Um, all right,
I
moving
heard
on.
detracting for a thing. I accidentally pulled out my mic.
Oh
But
wow,
yeah,
you were that raging. You're like, no, I can't hear any more of this.
I was fixing my like chair and I just yanked it out by accident.
So
Uh
so next up is Raw, and let's go for A plus for what Raw has become over the course of
oh
our
yeah,
TV series here. Is Raw has been the butt of all jokes, and he's S tier when it comes to
cursed. He's cursed when it comes to character, but
his
he's this.
character is priceless, man. He has
Mm,
come to be the bumbling superhero, the comic relief superhero of our group, and I love that for him.
yeah.
But that's not what we're necessarily judging him on today. I
His
think
actual abilities and stuff. I would say he's peak A tier.
peak A tier. Like, so I agree, he's definitely A tier. I don't. So for me, what gets you an S tier is you're able to pull off some uber stuff. Now, outside of I think he's one of the few characters that can ramp up to like 7 damage per strike pretty damn quickly. Like I think he's among the fastest ones that can just buff himself up to fire damage of doing 6 to 7 damage. Like round 1 or 2, he can get to that high. So um,
I think
so I
he
think he.
breaks.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think I'm putting him in top of A tier mainly because his raw damage is really good, and
His
if you
raw
put
damage is very good. You're
yeah
right.
yeah,
The pun
but
intended.
also great puns, which I feel is probably influencing my decision a bit. But also, if you put him on the easiest map with volcano, he literally breaks the game. Like you can just fire immunity, and
Right.
like
The volcano does all the work for you.
just the volcano just does AOE damage to everything. You just use that as your own move.
But
It just
that's a very niche. The volcano
it is very niche, but
is
like
very. It's one card in one
yeah,
environment. But you're right. It
true.
is fun to watch. I think we play that environment disproportionately because it's a lower rated environment.
We
Um,
literally we volcano is in the league of super
right where
associates.
he should
You know?
be. He's.
Him and Kraken are there right now,
That's true.
and
They're.
that one commander guy that you shot.
Oh yeah, the general. No, it was the commander. Uh,
Yeah, no, it's like a general guy that's like, yeah, I'm helping you guys. I brought you all these tanks.
with his pistol,
Uh,
he's just like, yeah,
and
he's
freaking
badassing it, and we're like,
stuntman like just guns him down.
so yeah, I think Raw.
What do you feel?
I think Raw, I would bring over Omnitron X,
Yeah,
um, and because I don't
he
feel
just doesn't have.
I don't think Raw has much weakness as Omnitron. Like Omnitron
Uh,
X, if he takes like 5 or 6 damage, all his equipment's broken.
yeah,
Raw's not like
I
that.
feel like Omnitron X has a bit higher potential, but it's held back by it being a bit more classy. While Bra has some pretty solid potential and is not classy. Is actually more of a tank. He's a DPS and a bit of a tank. Not a huge tank, but a bit of a tank.
I think you can't go wrong. One, I think Raw is a character you can give a new player, and it's simple. Your DPS. I think the only time Raw gets in his own way is when DPS is not the solution to a couple like the misinformation, or was it this the was it misinformation, or no, the secretary, or where you're trying not to DP, you have to find the clues before you can DPS her, or like the dreamer, like that's where like your DPS could get yourself in trouble. But
Yeah.
um, he's among the best DPS characters, easy characters. So yeah, I think he's A tier. I think he beats out Omnitron X. However, Omnitron X can pull off some S tier moves more so than Raw, but Raw can do it too. You say he can co-op the volcano. He can negate everyone's fire damage in some scenarios. Like that fire damage is one of the more popular styles of damage. So
Unfortunately, he's a bit less versatile. He
he
can't.
can heal himself with his staff of
Yeah.
Ra, and he can find the staff of Ra pretty easy. So like that whole find the staff, heal staff Ra, he's healed himself out a little bit. So yeah, no, I put him top of A tier.
Yeah. He's a good tank. He's a good DPS.
Yeah. So here's
Okay.
more controversial one of the scholar. So I'll let you start, and then I will, because I like the
Uh,
scholar as a, but
I feel like you're gonna put him A tier. Um, I think he is a tank, and
yes.
that is like he's a very, very, very good tank, but that is all he's contributing. So I probably wouldn't put him. I'd probably put him high B tier, but I wouldn't put him at the peak.
So I so badly want to put him higher than a B tier, but I think practicality. So I love the character. I like the principle of the character too, because I feel like he's the Hulk when he's not in Hulk form. He's Bruce Banner, and he's got Hulk-like qualities. So like character wise, I think that's cool. I think he's the best tank in the game. Um, but I do agree with your assessment that like he can go into various styles of tank mode. Either he absorbs all the damage or he out heals the damage, which I think is fun when you're like, I just can heal. He just healed myself for 10. I took 5 damage, but I just healed for 10. Like, or like I take 0 damage. Like he can get you to 0 damage pretty consistently. But I do think where he struggles is he's not able to tank for the team in as many situations as I feel like his character build would be. I don't think he can. I wish they would tweak him a little bit. This would get him to SA tier. You probably have a hard time not if he could, um, like taunt everybody and like take all the damage consistently. Or he was able to be switched to like super healer mode where he's able to heal one person for like 12 health every time. Like so in that I would say I put him top of the B tier list, but he's not an A tier character. I would take him over Chrono Ranger. Uh, but I do recognize the fact that if you don't need a tank and you need a little more DPS, he's not going to do that for you. So if you want, we can put him underneath Chrono Ranger. I'll let it. But
I think his tanking capacity is higher. I
if you're grading him solely on a tank, he would be high A tier. But like his contributions to the team,
Yeah, like if
I don't think he's
you
as
like,
much as a team player. If you can finagle that, like he's taking the damage, then you're fine. But I think that's the hard part is that he doesn't cover the team nearly as much as you want him to.
I I feel like what I consider Chrono Ranger to be is he doesn't have anything really negative about him, and but Chrono like he can buff the team and like add bonuses, and he gets better as the game goes along. I mean, he's just he's at the top of B tier because he's good and there's nothing bad about him. There's just nothing extraordinary that game changes. But he is like helpful and like in basically whatever you need. But he isn't like gonna start like pushing you over the edge with one special ability. At least I haven't seen him do it.
Yeah, so I would
So the
describe the
question is,
scholar.
do you think the scholar has like would have a moment where like, man, this is gonna change the tide of battle? That
No,
he can get
but
out somewhat. Okay.
I think the scholar is more fun to play because it's fun when it's like, oh, you did 2 damage, I healed for 12. Like when you're like double digit healing, or oh, you're supposed to give me 12 damage, but I gave you now it's been reduced down to 0. Um, that is fun. Like that's fun because then you feel like a superhero because you're like, haha, like this would take down half of anyone's health, but I'm able to outdo it. However, it's only contained to him, so like it's fun if you're playing
I've like
him, but like as the team's like, yeah, big deal. What are you doing to get us out of this mess? Kind of deal. Like,
I like Chrono Ranger because I also find him very fun. Like his gimmick, his kit's pretty interesting. It's not like game breaking,
right?
but it's a really good kit, and it's basically always helpful to the team.
Yeah, I think that's where Chrono Ranger ekes out is that I think he's more helpful to the team than the scholar is.
So I'd put him right below Chrono Ranger. I'm fighting surprisingly harder for Chrono Ranger's position at the top of B than anything else.
This is yeah, it is. I
He's
think
the gatekeeper. He's like that guy. It's like I may not be A, but it's kind of like that.
you must pass through me.
Yeah.
Passing through me.
You gotta get past the chrono blockade.
So all right, so we'll leave them just below Chrono Ranger. So the Sentinels as a group, um, I had a lot of fun playing
Dead
them.
center of B tier.
You know, it's hard to rate these guys because it's the only character that's like 4 characters. You can play all these people individually.
They're 4 characters, but they're also like they're
synergizing amongst themselves.
They are wet. They are wet paper, like squishy.
Yeah, and I'm kind of
blow
glad
on
that
them and they die.
And I'm kind of glad they did that because essentially they're giving you 4 heroes in one, and I want to say that you're forced that you can't use all their abilities
Yeah.
at the same time, so you got to pick which one. It gives you a lot of flexibilities because hey, if I need a healer, if I need a damage dealer, if I need this consistent damage, I need to do something crazy, like you have all those options. But I do think they did right by mechanically making them squishy. So, but they've got they are versatility.
But that's why I say like dead center of B because they're not like to me they're not solid enough to be like they're great, but like they have tons of versatility so they can fit in a lot of situations. But if you hit them, they die and you can't. They're dead.
So I would stick them behind Bunker.
Okay,
and that's
fair.
kind of where I'm at because I think there's more versatility, but they are super squishy. But I would take them over the naturalist. I almost feel
and the thing is because they do have a health cap, so like there's probably a lot of bosses, especially if Iron Legacy showed up, they'd like just be dead. You couldn't even play them.
No, you're right because his first salvo would have killed off at least. And also, I think once the team starts dying, you start losing one or two. There's a lot of them. Like if this person's in play, like you're still able to do this, but like they're once you start losing the characters on the team, having mainstay just on that team is you were better off just taking mainstay by himself. Like that's the kind of difference maker. So yeah, I think they're a little less than Bunker, but the fun to play. I think it could feel a little broken. It feels like hey, why does that team get to bring 4 extra basketball players? This doesn't feel right, like wait a second. But yeah, so now the next one up is Setback, and well, I'm gonna start the ball with saying I'm gonna put him in Cursed, and I don't think it because by design the name is Setback. They have a D1 dice on their uniform. And I think that's just the definition of being cursed. Whether or not cursed you can be a good character in Cursed, but you're still cursed. And I think that's just kind of what it is.
I think they like
it's not his fault.
I think they actually go below Sub-Zero in the D tier. And the reason is because
not cursed.
Ironically, I think there was the meme of, oh, they're setback, they're awful, but I played them and they didn't do anything. Like they like did a little bit of stuff and they were a bit helpful, but there was like I only played them once, so I didn't get a good chance to like learn their kit. They have a bit of like, I feel like there's too niche. Their niche is they're like a type of controller,
Right.
and I never really got a chance to play them because everyone else was so much better that they just carried. But like they weren't like detrimental. Like they did stuff and they were setting up for something. They just never got to achieve it. But I wouldn't feel that they're so bad that they only harm the team because they didn't. You know what I mean?
I
Like they were always building up to something reliably, and they did a few things. But like again, the only time I played them, like because I don't want to put them in cursed tier when we literally just like they were like the least played characters. We fought like a boss and killed them in like 2-3 rounds.
I think that I think they're cursed, and but that's by design because we named them setback. They have a D1, like they wanted to make, and clearly it's kind of like Robin's sidekick, but awful.
I actually
But I
heard
feel like,
someone
they
put them
try to
like
get, yeah, go
someone actually said that they're an A tier character.
ahead. I
It was like a character guide. But at the same time, the reason I do have issues is because they said like Gauze was like awful. Guys was awful. So I'd be willing to
yeah.
say that.
So I don't know. I think they're
Except their opinions probably
here's the deal: is I think you can be cursed and still be a good player, and you're just like, you know, like in some type of sports, you're like they're a good team, they just have bad luck, and you don't know how to
I
explain it
will
outside of like every break they get is a bad break, but there's
okay.
on paper they
I
should be successful, but they're not.
I will I'm sorry, but I adamantly refuse. But I will put them at the very bottom of D, but I will not put them in cursed.
So I think this also opens up the discussion: is Parse cursed? Because I could
Parse
the
Parse was useless, but they weren't
you literally
like
skip
they
turns. Like you brought up a good point of like I can't do anything, so the best option is to skip, which is like cursed because like that's
their
a hero
character
that can't
was
play
okay.
anything
And
as a
okay,
matter of
my
like
opinion. Okay, so spars could do 1 damage. They could do one. Okay, so in my head is what classifies as cursed is it would have been more beneficial to bring nobody, like having a 0 space in your slot on
oh,
14
okay.
would be better than bringing them.
So
That is my criteria
we'll have
for
an interesting
cursed.
conversation because I know who's gonna put in your cursed list, and I don't think they
So
meet that
I
criteria.
say setback should go to D tier,
All right,
and we can't move on until we decide.
we'll put setback after parse as the
After parse,
lowest.
I'll put them at the very bottom denominator in the D tier.
I feel like we'll have another discussion about that. So,
Okay.
um, skyscraper,
I- I'd say low B tier
low B tier.
because
Okay,
they have really good damage potential, and I didn't get to mess with their other kit very much.
okay.
Like they have some really good, but like it hurts the team too. So it was like they're like a double-edged sword. So they're more like you can more reliably do damage and maybe do some other stuff with her abilities. Like she does okay damage, but I wouldn't say she's super good to the point where she's
I
not
feel like
too
she's
solid.
around knife. That's kind of like my thought.
Not,
No, but
I she does a good like knife is a double-edged sword, but like skyscraper is a better
you're
double-edged
just like
sword.
laying puns upon puns. Knife is a double-edged sword. I'm like, well,
It's a double-edged knife.
when does a
But
knife
I'd say
become a sword? I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
what?
the thing is, skyscraper again. Like I only played half her kit.
Yeah.
Like I played her in big mode, and in big mode she hit really hard, but she also hit the allies kind of hard. So if you could if you did something where like you could negate team damage, like or do stuff like that, you could hit the enemies with massive AOE's.
Hmm.
Like very easily. And then she has a small mode, so she could be like more precise, and she had like she had some like linking and control abilities that I didn't get to mess with too much, which are pretty interesting. So I do think she is. I do think she is good enough to go into B tier. I just never utilized her potential very well because she is a bit tricky.
Hmm.
So I would put her at the, I put her below Choir Boy, but I would put her above Luminary because I do think she can
So top of the
steamroll if
C
you need
tier
someone to
or
steamroll.
bottom of the B tier?
I could either go top C, bottom B,
I'm gonna go
whatever
with
you
top
feel
C.
comfortable
I'm gonna go with top
with.
C.
Okay, I can move them there.
All right, next up is Stuntman, and this is gonna be tough for me. He is super fun to play. A plus fun to play. I
Really, you put bottom C tier?
no, that's just where I put people. I've been putting
Okay,
it.
okay. I was looking at it. I'm like, it's like great.
No,
Like they're really fun to play bottom C tier. I'm like, oh wow, you really don't
no.
need to
So
play.
I'm torn because there's a level of consistency with damage that Stuntman can bring to the table, and then there's the ability to cheese like nobody cheeses before. Because if you can pair with someone that forces them to play off their turn, they can do twice as much damage and they can do so many more power. There's a lot of cards where it's like play a power, play a card,
Bottom of A
draw a
tier.
card, essentially have an extra turn. So bottom of A
Bottom
tier?
of A tier.
No, I would put
Bottom of A tier.
no. I
You don't forget you have
over
moments where
fanatic,
you like
over fanatic.
if you don't get the gear, he literally will sit there and do absolutely nothing to contribute for potentially multiple turns. He'll just have his stupid jacket on, and he won't
You're
do
just bitter that he
anything.
looks amazing in that jacket. That's
No,
all.
the thing is, we had him on her team, and like he almost got us killed because he was supposed to be DP. He has good DPS, he has good control, but there's like that's 2/3. Like there's a third of his kit
So you mean to
where he
tell me
literally
that we would
just
take
he
Mr.
doesn't do
Fixer
anything.
hands down over Stuntman and
Mr.
Fanatic?
Fixer, if you get out his cards, he
But in
basically
fairness,
always had
Mr. Fixer
Mr. Fixer
is
always had
solid,
a card he could play. He
but
had something to do, but he had one card that if you got out was super good.
and
But he
that's why I
always
feel
had
like
good
Stuntman, and
cards.
that's why I feel like Stuntman is like it's but I feel that Stuntman is
Stuntman,
a little more has more opportunity. Mr.
he
Fixer
has
has
a
like
bit
one card
more.
that's uber broken card in your favor.
Stuntman has like two cards. Okay, he has like one card that's broken, and then he has two cards that are really good.
I think
But
also
he also has
his base power
he
is
has
very good.
but like they're not like he needs those cards to be out. He doesn't really do anything with that base like with his
I
base
would
power, right?
so my counter is I would put him under mainstay. And the rationale is mainstay is more
I
consistent, but I do think he has Stuntman has more ability to pull off S level shit than mainstay does.
my argument is Fnatic. Okay, Stuntman he's kind of greedy. He's a greedy character. He doesn't help as much as Fnatic.
Um,
You get Fnatic, she can boom and she can heal. She has some versatility. Stuntman is he can do good damage, but like all these characters, they can do good damage. Like like maybe Mr. Fixer, you can make a debate for. Like you can put him above Mr. Fixer, but all these other characters, they're very good damage if you get it right, which is the same thing that Stuntman does. But they can do it and they can do other stuff too. And like to us, mainstay
well,
better damage
I
just
think his
overall.
flamethrower. So his flamethrower
Omnitron,
does
a lot
like
more versatility, higher damage output potential.
I want to say his flamethrower
Yeah, but that's
does like
one card. What
two
else
four
makes him
damage
good?
like and that like that's pretty hefty.
Yeah,
Um,
but all these other characters can do 2/4 damage pretty reliably. Like
so you're saying Stuntman is below Fnatic?
if you can give me a good point where they're more helpful to the team, because to me they can do okay, they can do some pretty good damage, but everyone here basically can do pretty good damage. Stuntman can has a bit of defense, but everyone can basically get defense.
I think the difference
But
maker
after
between
that, he
Fnatic
doesn't have a lot of
I think
versatility.
the difference
Like he
maker
doesn't help the
between
team.
Fnatic and Stuntman is Fnatic has to do damage to herself more aggressively than Stuntman. So therefore, I think Stuntman will be in the game longer because he doesn't. In order for him to do his his moves, but they both do good damage. But Fnatic's got to damage herself in order to damage somebody else. Well, Stuntman doesn't have to do that trade off, or definitely not nearly as hard. And that's where I think Stuntman gets a slight edge over Fnatic. Um, they both have the ability to pull off some amazing, like she's able to wipe the board. He's able to play off turn and essentially have a whole turn off turn. But I
I
think
will say
I
that
think the
Stuntman
difference.
is a bit more tanky. However, Fnatic, her whole concept is sacrifice, and she does have some abilities that allow her to like do stuff to herself, but then it opens up another character, so it's like a stronger DPS or a character that has a good synergy.
But
It can let them live to give them a chance. Like Stuntman, if he's on the field and he doesn't have a good hand and there's someone else that's about to do an amazing thing, they can't help. They just have to sit there and like do nothing
I
because they can't help other characters.
I've
His
played I've
he's
played
he's
both of
very
them a
greedy.
lot, and I'm not discounting that he's greedy, but I think Fnatic. There's so many times I play Fnatic and I go, I play this card, but then I'm down to like 2 health if I play this card. Well, Stuntman, I do not run into that scenario. It's like having a similar effect, but not having the price to pay as much, and that's where I would say, in my mind, Stuntman wins out over Fnatic. Doesn't
Okay, in all
mainstay
honestly,
mainstay is not like, and the reason why it doesn't beat mainstay is more consistent,
yeah.
and that's it more boring of a character to play, but than Stuntman, because it's fun.
Honestly,
It's
okay.
fun to do the shenanigans.
Honestly, you don't need to argue anymore. I was basically fine with putting him above Fnatic a while ago.
Oh, you're
I
just
just wanted
you wanted the banter.
I was trying to argue a good point, but a lot of that stemmed from my he had to pay for his cool coat. He had to.
I
He
can
had
respect that.
to he needed to pay the toll to get above Fnatic because I don't have any moments where I was explicitly upset with Fnatic. He had to earn a spot, okay? Okay.
That's fair.
Tachyon.
So we're gonna. I think I'm reaching a little
He's
high,
another.
but
He's gonna be
I think S
another.
tier. I think S tier,
Okay.
and the rationale is
No,
for so there
no.
is the opportunity. So the Sonic doesn't do. Everyone gets 1 damage, and no one can do damage if they're done damage with that. Is a broken card. That's an S
That is
tier card.
one broken card. That's an A tier. They have one broken thing. That's A tier.
So I think, because as you quickly identified, but we've played multiple games with that. If you keep spamming that card, the other thing that happens, if she gets a lot of burst cards in her trash, she's able to deal like 8+ damage per card, and she's able to draw like there's a lot of she's a not a great damage. She's also good against AOE. She's got a lot of AOE cards. She's not good against this. She has one card that does a lot of the burst cards, but um, I think she's low S tier. I don't think she beats the other ones out, but I think
I don't think she's better than Ra or Omnitron. Actually, I don't actually. Honestly speaking, I don't think she's better than Bunker. I
wow,
don't. Okay,
no,
she has one overpowered card, yeah, but it's one card, and we got lucky because we were able to like synergize incredibly
I
well. But like, it's a single card, and I also just like multiple times over multiple games, like again and again, I've seen her just sit there, draw cards, and barely contribute anything. Very consistent. For being a speedster, she's very slow to do a lot of damage. There's turns where she's just there, and then I forget about her because she doesn't do anything. She has some potential, but like it's not consistent enough. It's just not good consistent enough to be like her consistency is terrible, and I don't think she classifies for A tier because A tier is you can play something almost consistently or just have a solid ability. She's glassy. She's like she'll draw cards, but she won't do any damage a lot sometimes. And she has a couple good cards, but
so
they're
there's like
outweighed by her just inability to do things at
no, so
times.
she's got one card that does everyone 1 damage, and they can't do any damage that next turn. And then she's got a couple cards where it's like everyone does 1 damage. If that's being buffed by somebody else, like That's a heavy AOE card. Like,
Yeah, but no, but like that's Tempest does that, and that's
but
his main
like
power. And so
so,
many other characters have
but
better versions.
that card is so broken though. Like negating everyone on the battle space,
Yeah,
no
but that's a
damage.
single card in her entire deck
Yeah, but
for
it's like drawing a
one
card
turn.
saying you win this round. Like it's uh
Okay, it's a great wall. I won't dispute it. It's really, really good,
right.
but it's not consistent. It's like you use it once and it stops the enemy from attacking. That's a big play. It can be a game changer. So I will give her it's a game changer card. But 95% of the time she'll be sitting there twiddling her thumbs, just drawing cards in her own deck, not contributing,
All right.
which is horrible. That's like saying she has one good thing about her and the rest is awful. Like that's not A tier. That's barely. That's not even B tier. B tier is consistent. You can do stuff and you can build up to something good, but like she doesn't do that. She just here's this one thing that's useful. But what if the enemy is like there's a bunch of minions, or what if they do a bunch of damage over a course of time, or they use the environment? Like it's actually like a C tier thing. It's a niche. It's a niche
Ooh,
ability.
wow, you're just really trying to knock her down.
Well, no,
So
I've seen like this is like last game. I don't want to overhype her. It's the only time she contributed, and even then we would have won anyways.
yeah, but we won 20 minutes faster, clearly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if Tachyon played that like in any other game at some random round,
No, but
it
I've played
wouldn't
that
have
quite. I
contributed.
usually play Tachyon more than you, and I would say I play that. Like I, granted, I look forward to
Yeah,
that
it's a
card.
good card. Of course, you're gonna play that.
When that card gets drawn, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm.
What else does she do though? Like other than that, like everyone in
The
A
other
tier
AO,
has
the
one card
AOE,
that's
she
insanely
has
good, and then
when you have burst cards, like she has one card that does X amount of um you can do X amount of minion damage, like 3 minion damage to X amount of minions based on how many is in your trash. And then there's the Uber one of you can do X damage to one character based on how much is in your trash. Um, and she does dispose of cards quickly. And the thought is she can build up her trash pretty quick. So I will take her down from S, but I would put her in front of Mister Fixer. That's my new haggle for that because uh irregardless, just because Mister Fixer's got the same thing where he's got that negate damage card, which is like uber great. But if he didn't have that card,
he still has
he
other good abilities. That's just his breaker card. Like he
I
has other
I
good cards that
I
do
think
consistent
Tachyon
damage.
falls in between Fnatic and Mister Fixer. That's my that's my because I do think Fnatic is able to pull off more fanatical moves. But I do think it's very comparable to Mister Fixer. And the way I look at it is, if I had the choice between taking Tachyon and Mister Fixer, right, wrong, or indifferent, I would pick Tachyon each time. And you're right, it's because of those cards. But I can't ignore
But
the
she's
cards.
awful at all the other. She doesn't do anything forever. Like
But
she's a
those
build up
cards,
character. She is a build up character,
she's a
so I
builder
have
character.
to give her. She's a build up character, so she's slow to start. But I personally, I just feel that for a character that's all about
We never
speed,
pick Mister Fixer. We never do. I think Chris is the only one that picks Mister Fixer. And I think it's because
but
he likes the
that's I
character.
think also a reason we don't. But that's also a reason we don't pick him because it is Chris's character. Well,
Uh,
Tachyon, she's a basic starter set. I don't I
well,
feel it's ingenuine to like claim that she's so. I honestly like I in my I from I guess I can give it that she is better than Bunker, but she's less consistent, which is a really big issue. She is not consistent.
so
Mister
you're
Fixer,
saying above
Fanatic,
bunker.
Stuntman.
So over scholar,
I could
or is this
I
the
could
Chrono Ranger none shall pass?
I okay, honestly, if it wasn't for what she did in the last game, like
I know this is great.
explicitly what she
This is
did,
a great conversation to have at
I
the
would have
time
put her
because it's
at the
hard to
top of
argue.
C.
It's hard to
At
argue
the
that
top
card.
of C, like if it wasn't for her one move. But the thing is, I think I've seen her use that move before,
Yeah.
and it was like okay, but it's not a game changer. Like it doesn't do
I
massive damage.
I
It
think it.
stops the enemy once.
I think
That's
when
it.
it puts the enemy in check because they can get carried away. I want to say also when we fought the matriarch just recently, we brought Tachyon because they're sisters or whatever, and her ability to slap all the crows out of the air and none of the crows can do damage
Did we
back.
bring Tachyon?
We did,
Okay.
and the key was that she was able to slap the 18 crows out of the sky with her AOE, and none of the ones that survived, like the hardier crows, were able to do cross damage back, and that was a game changer. Now I completely agree. Like that card is S tier card. Like that card's an S tier card. Um, but
I I gotta gatekeep. I'll put her below Chrono Ranger
oh
in my.
wow, so
It's. I'm just saying, like,
that might be the most divisive one. I would pick
if I
Tachyon
had to
nine times out
do,
of 10 over Chrono Rate.
I would pick Chrono Ranger 9 times out of 10 over Tachyon because her, like, if I want someone to reliably do something and contribute to the team overall,
but I don't think the
Chrono Ranger
card
does
doesn't
that
fit.
consistently.
I think Tachyon's able to burn through cards enough where you're able to see that card. And there's more than one of them. It's not just one card. There's like two, at least two, maybe
I
three.
guess you can say that she does draw cards, but the thing is, she has to recycle her trash, and then that's random. It's like you would have. She's.
Yeah, but
It takes
her base
too
ability
long.
is to trash a card. Essentially, you
But
get to choose
in
to
my
trash the card.
opinion, it takes too long. Like for being like, if she could do it like at the same rate that Gauze does, I
See,
could maybe push her up to
I
8.
don't think Chrono Ranger with that card in the conversation. I don't think Chrono Ranger is able to beat that card out. Uh,
That's specific. Okay, but the thing is though, I'm talking about again the main issue. Does she have really good cards? Yes, but she also has terrible cards. Like she just does nothing at times. She goes from like an S tier level feat to a D level feat. That's too polarizing to break her into A tier.
I didn't
Where A
realize
tier,
that
because
Tachyon
if
would be
you
the
brought
most
okay,
divisive character we're talking about this tonight. I was not expecting the tier list to be like, oh yeah,
well,
Tachyon's gonna be
because I
the.
can agree she has really insane potential, but she also just sucks. At like I've seen her like 8 out of
She's all or
ten
nothing.
times I've seen her just sit there and do, yeah, which is, and that's not like B everyone in B tier is like they have something, like maybe not high end, but like they can contribute something to the team consistently and they can build towards something while still doing something. She is just like, I'm there. I do this one thing really fast and then I fizzle out, or I just don't do anything for like 6 turns. Like if she could get her like crazy good cards out a lot faster, I would be okay, A tier.
Well,
But she doesn't.
that might be the
I've seen
person
her.
playing. Like I don't really go out of my way sometimes to seek that card. There's a couple rounds where I
Yeah.
do.
But even if you did get that card out, it's not like you're going to use it all the time. It's gonna sit there sometimes because
I'll be honest
there's
that
a lot of chances where it's not a great card
I'll
to
be
use.
honest that I break out Tachyon a lot more when I know I've got a character that has a lot of minions because I know her AoE is really. I think her AoE cards are very good, so she's able to control a large crowd of a minion heavy. Now, if it's a single just super strong villain, I'm less inclined to take her because I think if I need AoE, I
So
need a
there's
lot of
times
it.
where she's just trash though. That's what you're saying.
Right, but also there's times where she owns the field. Like
Yeah,
and
but it's not
today was
it's
an
not
example of that.
enough. Like it's not consistent. Like there's because I explicitly remember seeing her on the field and like I've seen Bunker and I thought, wow, she's contributing less like by a huge margin than Bunker was contributing. So if there is an instant where Bunker, who's like the
The
best
Swiss
B
Army
boy,
knife. He's the Swiss
like
Army knife.
he's the B boy. If B boy here is able to consistently contribute more than Tachyon does on rare occasions, then I don't feel that she deserves A. And if she doesn't deserve A, then she can't. And we know Chrono is the gatekeeper. She
I didn't see
I
that
will
coming
put her
either.
above Scholar because we've already established Scholar is the same situation. He has really good tanking, but that's it. And
Right.
she has really good hyper specific situational cards which can like topple and like maybe some AoE, but she doesn't have any like. But she's like lagging behind by such a huge margin, like too much to be an AT character, and she's not consistent. So she's in my
I will take
she's
your deal.
below Chrono
I
Reaper.
will take your deal because I think we've exhausted
Yeah.
and we'll
I
see. We'll see what
honestly,
the fans think of that.
I would put her in C tier.
Oof.
Like if it wasn't for the last showing, like I would fight
Actually,
because I it's like
and the
I've never
matriarch
seen the first.
showing, she did turn the tide quite a bit. Like the matriarch episode.
Honestly, but everyone was pulling their own. She was okay,
No,
but like
she turned the tide. Now I won't say
but
that she
that's
she
why
didn't single
she's
handedly
at the
carry the
top of B
team.
tier.
But yeah,
That's why
okay,
she's at the top of B tier.
all right.
Not above Chrono
The
Ranger,
the
but
real the real
high up there.
conversation starts next. Tempest.
Okay.
He's got to be. I'm gonna put him at the extreme S tier, and the old.
Mm,
He is the S tier, and the reason is he's easy to use. He's good at almost all of his cards are amazing. There's like one or two cards that are bad. He's arguably the most consistent healer of the whole game, and he's the most consistent AoE. Like if you need AoE heals, if you need AoE damage, he's probably among the best at all. Like he's the best AoE healer. He's among the best AoE damage. He's able to remove two. He's able to do 4 damage and remove 2 ongoing cards. That card, there's a lot of cards that shouldn't exist because they're like the base power of healing everyone 4 damage and 2 ongoing cards is like there's very few characters that are able to even touch an ongoing card. He's able to get rid of them. His base power is an AOE, but like he's got the hailstorm. He's got the was it like 5, and then like up to 5 people get 1 lightning, the chain lightning damage. Like he's broken so many ways in a good
I
way. And I love the fact that is essentially supposed to be a spin-off of like Green Martian Man and Aquaman, and they made him the most broken
yeah.
character possible.
I
That's and and over the
I
course of this our episodes, he's been excellent with he's the foil to Raw of being like the super cool, like so like the goody two shoes Superman hero.
there was a time. It's funny because I remember you said you didn't like Tempest. Like before when we first started this journey, like your opinion on Tempest was kind of low, at least compared
because
to
he
where it
was
is now.
I thought he was good. I thought he was consistent, but I
Yeah.
thought he was simple, and but I didn't appreciate how broken simple he is. He's like his most of his cards are too powerful. Um,
I Gene Bound Shackles, great. So I
that's not even like his best card though. That's
the
like
only
a
thing
the
I love Tempest. I don't like you don't need to argue the point with me. I love
well,
Tempest. He's a great
actually,
character.
my
He's
argument
hilarious.
my argument is he's better than guys, and I know you love like I feel like this is like which child is your favorite because I think both
I
of them are your two favorites, and I'm making
I
you
think
choose.
that Tempest is um I do think when it comes to AoE potential, he does kind of have an issue um with like using his ability, like you use it, but sometimes you just can't. Like you have to just hold off. Like I guess I honestly, yeah, no, he's top. I can't argue anything solid that I can't make
I
the
think
same
his worst.
argument about guys. So I can put him at the top of S tier.
I think his worst card is the banishment card. And it's not that it's a bad card. It's just that he's always got better cards to play in the
Yeah,
situation.
which
But
he
like
isn't really
banishing
enough.
a card isn't that bad. The problem is it just the
Yeah,
card comes back. But like, there's a lot of situations where we use that. But every time it comes down to Tempest, you're either like, oh, I need him to do damage, or I need him to do heals, or I need him to
I
get
love
rid of
how
a
the two
card.
characters, like the two cards that I'm like, these are my cards, were the are just at the top of S tier.
They
The S
they
tier.
are. I mean, they're just um you can make the strong
Okay,
argument that they're broken. Like I do
and
think I
now
think they would need to nerf. They probably should have nerfed Tempest, and maybe his variants are a little more nerfed, and people are like, well, you don't use the base set. All right. So next is
Unity is this is the true curse. That is my opinion. She is
I don't think
one of
she's
the
as bad
few.
as Cursed, but go ahead.
Okay,
I'm
her ability, like this is how I had to. She not only is worse than Parse because she has times where she has cards where she needs to. Her whole thing is she uses summons creatures, right? The
yes.
only way to summon creatures is for her to put an item on her own field, then destroy that item. So she literally just she disables her own abilities, to
Right.
summon a creature that can immediately be killed. And she can only summon that creature by having it in her hand before she summons it. So she needs to have she needs to draw a card to place on the field to destroy, which she to then put another card that's in her hand onto the field that only has like 4 hit points usually. And also, if she has no attack ability like of her own. Her power, if you use her power by accident, you have to destroy one of your actual other teammates' cards because it's not just her. So and every single time we've used her, she has contributed to a loss. She's the only character that
That's hard to argue.
has a 0 win ratio and a 4 loss ratio, maybe 3. But like, and she's like, with the time we like played out without her, we like, I still blame it on her because we switched to other characters and we didn't lose. Setback was in a team and didn't contribute anything, and we
he's
still won
still
that.
he's still
Unity was in
he
a
got the
team,
participation
and
trophy at the end of the day.
Unity was in a team, and every single time she harmed the team, did nothing. She did okay. Out of 4 games, I only gave Sparse like 1 or 2. Parts 1 or 2. She got 4 games. Out of those 4, the last game she was in, she contributed a little bit, and still we lost.
I think
She did one thing. She is awful. Cursed, just the epitome of bad. And we have never been able. Like, I gave her as much chances as I could, and she just sucks.
I think
Genuinely a genuine detriment. She's literally hard. She's taken cards away from our team.
I think if you had to give me the choice of playing um Unity over Parse, I would probably pick Unity because Parse is like I'm struggling to do one, and there was turns where you're just like I gotta skip because there's nothing to
No,
be
no.
done.
Unity had to skip consistently. Like,
Right,
she is
but I also think
she
that if
okay.
Unity
Parse,
has
I can
plays
at
it with
least do
someone else
1
that,
damage.
but if
Parse can at least hurt someone consistently. Unity legitimately has turns where she does nothing at all. Then she has to wait to do nothing at all. Then she has to wait to do nothing at all. Like, you can't even hurt. Like, Parse, she hurts. She can't play a power, but she can hurt people with at least 1 damage. Unity genuinely can do absolutely nothing unless you want to actually like harm your team. If you use her power without like thinking, you will actually hurt the team because you'll have to destroy one of your allies' cards, which it's ridiculous.
I think there's a couple synergies. Granted, when I say synergies, as in like pulled her from Curse to maybe like C tier, if you pair her with other people that have a lot of equipment cards.
If you so what you're okay, if you build your entire team
Right.
around
Yeah.
her,
I'm not.
hyper specifically, she becomes usable. That is awful. That's like, yeah.
But
If I
I
put
also I
every
feel that the
character
parse.
setting like to make setback or parse good, they'll make them better. Unity, it just doesn't work 99% of the time.
I feel that
That is
like
bad.
I if I was picking the list by myself, I would put setback and parse into the cursed pile along with her. But I do think uh, I've used her a few times. I don't think I've had the same results of you, but I do see where mechanically you can fall into this if you have a bad draw. Like I'm guessing that the couple times that I played her very early on, because I think she's part of like the first DLC pack. Um,
Yeah.
that I had better draws, and if you have better draws where you're not doing. I'm not saying that she's like A or B tier at all, not at all. But like if you get a proper draw, you're able to put equipment out there, and then yeah, you're cannibalizing your own equipment, which still makes her kind of like meh, but she's not like hurting the team. So
Okay.
I
Well,
I agree with I agree with
here's the
you.
reason.
I agree with your UDD argument. It is sound. I'm fine with leaving her in cursed. I also think
I
that other
I
people
just
should
I don't
join her in the cursed.
know.
But
Well, the thing is, the reason my argument against it is, um, the thing is, if you built your entire team around her, you'd still have to be destroying good like equipment that other players could be using.
I think there's
And
an optimal
maybe
draw
you
with
could
her that
say,
like there's
if
like
if you used her specifically with Stuntman, maybe you could get something going, maybe. But like
I was thinking more
the
like
fact,
Wraith or someone like that has, or Bunker that, or
like
equipment heavy.
Wraith and not sorry, Wraith and Mainstay. Like I mean, Unity and Mainstay, maybe that could
Yeah, yeah,
combo.
that might work.
But like, but the thing is, like,
Yeah,
she
you're bringing two
doesn't
people
fit
to
well
you're trying to
on
bring two
team.
people to be one hero when you could just be two
You could
good
just
heroes.
if you just picked a good hero,
Yeah,
it just you know what I mean. Like I guess you could. There's some positive synergy with Mainstay. I can give you that. But the thing is, she if
it's niche
her
upon
whole
niche.
even that the thing is that doesn't even work very well because what she has to function as a character. She needs a car like a bot in her inventory. She can't like she needs to play an item card, destroy it, and then have a bot in her inventory. If she
I
does not
do
have
agree
a
that
bot
like
in her inventory, she cannot even use her ability. Like she, okay, if she had a bot in her inventory, if she had no items, she couldn't use her ability. If
I do agree
she,
that she needs to
yeah,
have a very
yeah,
niche
if she has an
draw
item,
in order to be
she
functional,
still
which is
can't
not
use her
right.
ability. She still can't use her power because she needs a bot in her inventory. So you consistently have it where she needs two cards to do one thing, and then if she doesn't get a good card, she summons it and say there's like even two minions on the enemy's team or just an AOE main villain. It's gonna destroy her bot, and then it just does nothing. So she spent like two, maybe even like four turns of prep to get one card out, and then it gets destroyed immediately.
So
It's like, come on.
so I think if I was the developers and I was like, you need to buff Unity, I think it'd be very easier to do than maybe the other ones because I feel that like you would just need to reduce the requirement of needing to cannibalize a
Let
bot.
her pull from her own inventory, and then it
Oh,
becomes significantly better.
right. I think, and that's why I'm like, I think a slight little buff in the mechanics of her cards to prevent this, where if you don't, unless you have this specific draw, she can't do anything functional, and she could jump tiers very quickly, because I think she'd be a cool little. I send out like kind of like a necromancer in Diablo kind of deal, where I send out a couple minions to do my work. I don't do the damage. Like I could see where that would be a fun little build, but the fact that she so aggressively has to cannibalize something to do that, that she can't get ahead of herself. She's always cannibalizing something to get ahead. So
She's
she's
more of a
earned.
she's cursed. She's more detrimental to herself and the party than she is to contribute.
So we'll agree that she can be in the cursed tier.
Okay,
You've proven your argument on that. I look forward to
and she's
anyone's
just
discussion.
cursed for our campaign too.
She is,
She's
and I can't
everything.
argue that too. Like she is attributed to being there for every loss, so like it's hard to argue that. Um,
Okay,
Visionary. Here's a fun one because I like Visionary, but she is niche, but she's very good at what she does. Like if you need to control the villain, like if your goal is I need
yeah,
to subdue the villain, not necessarily beat him, but my main goal is I'm going to make sure they don't play their Uber cards. Visionary is someone you want to bring because
I
that's
will say
exactly what they do, and they're very good at it.
Visionary is the epitome of control.
Yes,
But the only caveat I have to say is control isn't that great. It's not like there's a lot of times where control just doesn't matter.
right.
There's some times where it's very useful, like incredibly so. But there are a lot of times where you can just completely forego control and just hard hammer in damage or do something else or like stack up abilities or just there's so many other things you could do other than control and it would still work.
There's
But if you want to control, she can do it very well and it's helpful. But it's like it just there's so like it's very like you said niche.
Yeah, I think there's a couple villains, like Citizen Dawn comes to mind, because I just think we've ended up playing her more.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of villains that have these Uber cards where you're like, I do not want to see them play the Uber cards because it changes the tide in not my favor. Or there's these synergies of like this card's out, so if the villain pulls out this other card, we're in a world of hurt. So like that's how you control it,
I would
and she
give
can
her
do
the
a little
bottom of B tier
bottom of B tier.
because she's better than C. She's has some skills, but her damage is so non-existent it hurts. And
Yeah, she's not able to
Like
do much damage. She's able
she
to
doesn't
dodge her
she
own
doesn't
damage. She
yeah.
can like put herself in the
Yeah.
little cocoon and survive.
She's not a great tank. She I wouldn't even call her a tank. She just has a couple abilities that help her survive and a bit of things to control the environment. But her main thing is she messes with the enemy's card. That's about it though, and
um,
she's good at it. But I would say so. That's because like she doesn't contribute much outside of that really. She has a little bit of team support, but I wouldn't say it's above choir boy. I unless I mean I can if you feel she's stronger, I can switch it up a bit. It depends on how
so
you feel.
she's one of the characters on this list that's falls into, I think on average she's B tier for most enemies because controlling villain cards, there is value in that. Like I don't feel like your
Yeah,
team is taking a risk by saying, okay, we're gonna have one person dedicated to controlling the villain's card. I
yeah.
do
But there
think
are times.
there's some times where that becomes A tier. There's some fights where I'm like, if you bring her to the fight, you're bringing that. But I don't think she drops below a B. But I think you are well founded in saying
Yeah,
that there's some times where if you not
there's a
if
lot better options.
there's better options, or if control's not, you can control the enemy, but if making more DPS or having more synergies is more, yeah, there's probably, I would say there's probably about five villain. If I sat down and thought about it, there's probably about five villains where this visionary is key to bring to the fight, and then there's probably like five where she adds no value to the conversation at
Yeah,
all, and then the
but
rest
also
of them
like
she's like she helps, but she's not. You could very well want to pick, if you had a choice between her and A tier or S tier, you would take the A tier, S tier every day of the week.
the main reason I say like I wouldn't put her high end of B tier is just if you put all of these like it's kind of a dumb argument, but it's very poignant on versatility and kind of how these characters like she's very good at one specific thing,
Yeah,
which I get and like but that again like being a niche character is affect like C tier is all about characters like either they're either like bottom of the C tier is they don't do anything interesting, and then top of the C tier is like Doctor. They're very niche. They have one thing they do.
right.
And she has one thing she does. She does it much better than they do, but she does that one thing. Like if you put like any if you put anyone in B tier up against her specifically, they would curb stomp her because she can't help like like any boss versus just visionary, like she doesn't do anything against them. Like she messes with their cards, but the cards are still gonna come out. She needs other people. Like she needs other people to do things.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think also a theme that's coming out of B tier is there's potential for greatness in B tier, but there's, you can hang to a certain level. While like when you start getting to C and D tier is like there's not really, like that's the high water mark. You're not gonna really pass. I don't see people in C tier skipping up to B tier. I do see people in B tier skipping up to A tier depending on the fight. So I think that's the
I'll be
difference.
back really fast. I just have to use the bathroom. I drank like two
Unacceptable.
waters and I'm sweltering.
Unacceptable. All right, I'll entertain. All right, I guess this is a good time to put in the chat. Donate to Extra Life. Uh, Here's the link. There's the. Feel free to donate to Extra Life. Helps sick kids during hospital stay. Look up Rabbit Haberdashery, Team Rabbit Haberdashery on extralife.org. Find a team member that's representing a hospital that resonates with you and donate. That'd be awesome. So we're getting close to the end of the tier list. You know, I think we got everyone in there. I look forward to the discussions of folks because I feel like there's going to be a couple folks out there that everyone's going to be like, oh my God, you guys don't know anything of anything. Like, these people are amazing. You're just using them wrong. You know, I think there's going to be several of those out there. Um, but we'll see. We will see. I think it's been fun and interesting too, because um, there's some characters out there that are cooler in comic book design than their mechanics, and there's some characters that their mechanics are amazing, but I probably wouldn't pick up an issue of their comic book. It's kind of tough, um, and or they're mishmash, But yeah, I think there's a lot of characters that we need to play test more and get used to. Um, I'm thinking the C tier in particular. There's a lot of folks in there that we've only played once or twice. We probably should utilize a little more, and definitely D tier too. Um, I feel like Night Mist might be wrongfully put into D tier. I feel like Harpy might be wrongfully put into C tier. Same with Benchmark, Luminary, Lifeline. Um, I imagine some people out there are probably going to argue about Haka.
Can you
Uh,
hear me?
yeah, now I can.
Okay, I guess I muted my mic when I left.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Well,
my
I
gosh.
was just chatting it up just to so we didn't have like 10 minutes of dead space.
Oh yeah.
Um, so no, I was stating to the audience of this has been an interesting evolution because I think there's some characters we clearly need to play more because I'm like, oh yeah, we played them once like 3 months ago, and I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be a couple characters out there that people are gonna be like, what are you guys talking about? This guy's like the best This guy's S tier, and you got him down in C tier or something like that. Um, and I think there's gonna be some preferences out there. I think there's also some people. I wonder if some people have identified synergies that we're not really addressing very well. If like that person's, yeah, you're right. That person's like that, but if you pair them up with this person, they're S tier because they feed off each other. They're broken, but
Yeah, but we're kind of ranking them individually. A bit
yeah,
individually. Like we're factoring in their synergy, but like also our personal experience and
right. Like this is
you know,
personal experience based. And with that, what about Wraith?
in time it could change. Yeah, Wraith. Uh, I would. I'd say solid B. I'd put them like near top end. I'll put them above the Scholar.
So I,
But
I
I
I'm gonna
guess
go. I'm gonna go higher than that. I think Wraith is actually A tier. We just don't use her nearly as much. I would say.
I
I would say. Uh, uh, Among the
I
top
think she's a
three
really good. I think she's what
of A tier.
top three? No,
Yes.
I highly disagree.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I played Wraith a couple of times, so I know her moveset.
Right.
Dude, a decent amount. She doesn't have nearly as much firepower as any of these other characters. She has like a stun bolt, which does some minor reduction, and she has a lot of equipment.
The stun bolt stops the villain of the target from attacking that turn, which essentially is Legacy's takedown, but it's only on one person
Is
or
it really? I thought it
Tachyon's
was.
AOE. Yeah, no, it does like 2 damage and it prevents that person from doing any damage for the rest until Wraith's next turn.
Okay, that's really good. But the main issue is like she's a good tank, so I do think she matches if not beats out Scholar.
Yes.
Um, she has Stun Bolt, which is solid, and I like that ability.
Right.
But doesn't she doesn't really do much. She had like it's just she doesn't have a lot of oomph. I I okay. The Stun Bolt is pretty. Is it really? Is it really just everything? Like every that one enemy is completely stunned
Yes, that one
continuously.
enemy cannot do damage until her next turn.
Is it
So,
what? Is it
and
like
it
an
does
equipment
it does
card or is it
no,
a
it's a one
one-time use
shot.
card?
It's a one shot card. And it's like it does 2 damage, and now I don't remember if it's like if done damage in this way or if it's just I think it might be just does two
In
damage
my
and
opinion, it's the same issue with Tachyon. It's the
but
same
I
thing with
think she
Tachyon.
has
I
more
like
offer than Tachyon when it comes
yeah,
to
I will put her above Tachyon, but I will not push her into
she
A
also
tier.
has she has a heal card so she can heal herself for a little bit. She has the smoke grenades which deflect damage to somebody else and reduce things by 2. I know there's an achievement out there where you can go ham and like deflect, 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 and ricochet because it's like if you can, the achievement's like if you can deflect 4 times using smoke bombs or something like in a single turn. So the fact that they have an achievement means it's plausible. Uh, but uh, but
I like Wraith. She's a fun character,
she
but
is.
she's very plain.
I
Like
think
she's fun, but she's fun in the very simple way. Like she doesn't have a lot of power. Like
I
her
think
big
I
okay,
I think
her
that is her
biggest
biggest
her biggest
drawback is that
fault
she doesn't
is
she
she
can't do more than 5
yeah,
damage.
yeah,
Uh,
she does not hit hard.
she does not
And
hit
that
hard
is
enough.
why I don't want to put her into A tier because I do feel Chrono Ranger just overall does more damage. It contributes more damage points.
I
And
think she beats out Chrono Ranger.
no,
Uh,
I do believe. But the thing is, basically, Chrono Ranger it's a single galvanized to a single target, but he also has some other stacking abilities, so he gets stronger as time goes on. Admittedly, Wraith does too.
she's got the battle computer where she can do two moves a turn. Uh,
I thought that was like 2 extra defense
or maybe it's
against.
her utility
Um,
belt. But no, you're right. It might be her utility belt that allows her to do extra. She
I thought
has
it
the
gave her extra
batarangs where
equipment.
she can do either attack several for like 2. I think her biggest weakness is that she can't do more than 5 damage a turn. No matter how she could do 3 damage to several characters, or um, or she can deflect her own damage or heal. She can hold her own. Um, she can deflect a lot of damage, but I don't think her thing is she can't crest over the
Yeah,
DPS
but
of.
that's the thing about A tier. A tier is they don't have that weakness. They can do something consistently, and if they and the thing is, I the caveat that I do give is if they are a build up character, like they're a character that starts slow and then gets stronger as the game goes on. Wraith is like that, but she doesn't ever get good DPS, and that is her biggest caveat. Is she is support, but her support isn't crazy. It's pretty tame. It's like Tachyon stuff, but she just kind of and if the enemy has like gear remove stuff, it's completely just destroys her build. So she's not she is tanky, but like it isn't perfect tanking because it like all gets used up. So if she
But
gets hit by a really weak hit,
she can afford to lose some equipment though. She's got so many equipments that she's expect. I think you play her and you expect to lose some equipment,
all
and
I'm
you're okay
saying
with
is
it.
if you have a pie chart of like defense, support, damage, and utility, just like the equipment, like the 4 slots. I feel like she loses out uh, a little too much on damage to boost her into A tier.
I think she would take. I would go so far as that
Because
she takes.
damage is okay.
I think she
Damage is
dethrones
insanely
Chrono
important
Ranger
in my head.
as the king of B tier or queen of B tier because
Mm,
we are talking about the quintessential. She is above average in all these categories. She just doesn't break out of A tier, and I think Wraith has more versatility than Chrono Ranger, but also can do the same thing Chrono Ranger can do. I do think, and that's not even counting the stun bolt card, which I think we concluded by the end of this is that the ability to stop a villain from doing damage is a god tier. It's S tier mechanic. Like that's a mechanic. Whenever you have the option to do that, you should be doing that.
okay. How about how about we add a special category because I'm actually that split on it.
Really?
Add a row in between, and I'm gonna put her as. Oh no, I didn't mean to
I
put
don't
her
know
as
if we can
one.
add a row because I feel like this, especially this late in the proceedings, that like
I want to put
that.
A class support because she's an A class support, which goes below A's.
Oh, so you're saying A in support, but then
She isn't good enough to be an A in my opinion.
I agree with your assessment. Her ability to not break above 5 damage to a single target kind of prevents her, but I do think she owns the B. She's the definition of B.
but I don't. I feel like
She's
she
above average
isn't,
in everything, but she's not a.
except her damage, which goes down.
No, I
And
think she's above average for
okay,
damage because,
I
but she can't crest over 5 because she can deal 2 to 3 damage to several different targets in a turn, but she can't deal one target more than 5 without being
but is she
heavily
as
buffed.
cool as Chrono Ranger? She is. She isn't. She
Yes,
doesn't have.
she's
Now it's go.
Batman. God damn it, she's essentially
Oh,
Batgirl. Like Batman is cool.
I'm so. What about like every Western movie ever made? Are you gonna tell me that cowboys aren't? Are you gonna
Batman,
tell me? Okay,
Batman is greater than
Marty McFly,
every.
Marty McFly, and freaking like the I can't remember his like Dirty Harry or any like iconic cowboy.
I love how the question that I look forward to reading in the comments or just general discussion. Batman versus every cowboy trope ever made, which is better? And I think the answer is clearly Batman. Uh,
Nah. Well, I don't know if I consider them a pure Batman. I mean, they are basically Batman. That's it.
they're
But they're also
Batman, just
they're a bit
Batgirl.
well, no,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, but
I
Batman is
like
ninja-y. I mean, he
okay.
that's
Well, my opinion is like the reason. Okay, I feel pretty the same about their ability. Maybe she has something better than Chrono Ranger. However, I do feel that Chrono Ranger is the definition of solid B, which is why he's at the top. Like, there's nothing wrong
no.
with this kid at all.
I thought about that until Wraith. Wraith is more solid than Chrono Rangers. And because also the damage deflection, she's able to damage
But
deflect, reduce damage. She's able to heal. She's able, so she brings more to the table, and she has the ability with her utility belt to do more than one power a turn. So if she starts getting stuff out there, she can heal, negate damage, and doing a little love taps with the boomerangs and stuff like that. So I think she's the quintessential B, a strong B. So I know Chrono Ranger is held that title for
Chrono
a while,
Ranger's more
but
original.
I think he
You
could be
know,
the deputy. He
a
could be the
time traveling cowboy.
deputy to Batman. Still not a bad
Uh,
position. I'm just saying.
okay. I will concede for once in this long run, and I will put Wraith above Chrono Ranger, dethroning him as he's still effectively the gatekeeper. Wraith is just a freak. To be fair, we've been using Chrono Ranger as kind of just a benchmark for a lot of these. Like
uh, yeah. Well,
for B tier, he's kind of the gate. He was the gatekeeper. It's a bit different now. We might go over things a bit differently, but I still feel I don't. Yeah, I feel pretty good about everything right now, including Wraith being above Chrono.
so we have was it Bright and
Ride or whatever.
Ride and I that's the last one I have on the list. I don't know if that's the last one of all of them. It feels like it is. I don't
It
feel
is probably excluding the new add-ons.
like yeah. Now we're not talking about Sentinels of Earth Prime, folks. But yeah. And by the way, Sentinels of Earth Prime, folks, I would say most of them become A or S tier because I think they're very broken unless you're playing Sentinels of Earth Prime because a lot of their base abilities are just they're nuts, man. They're nuts. It's like do five AOE of 5 damage to everyone. It's like what? Like that. You know how they play games and they're like, the sequel comes out and we're just gonna like, oh well, what was Uber
Or
tier
yeah, power
gear?
creep.
Yeah, power creep. Like what was Uber tier gear is now baseline gear, and I feel like Earth Prime kind of did that a little bit of like you play them against normal characters, and it's just a different. They're in a different division.
Okay.
But back to Wraith, I liked Wraith. I think he had a lot of options. I remember him doing some solid DPS. I think he was low B tier and or low to mid B tier.
I would agree with that.
I feel
They
that
felt like B tier to me. They didn't feel like a C tier. They felt B. Like they had some potential and some abilities, but it was nothing that was like, yeah, they're super solid. It's like they're kind of.
I feel like
Uh,
I
I would
I
actually put them. I would put them like I okay. I'm actually for me, what I'm thinking about is the benchmark of Captain Cosmic and the Idealist. Like,
they're very
do
similar
I?
builds in me, and I feel actually I put Wraith right after La Capitane
right after.
right after, and
That's yeah, that's good.
I think
That's fair.
like Capitan's got a couple cards where are
I could agree with that.
a little stronger than average cards, while I think Rife is a little more consistent, and that's the squeak out of like. But I do feel that like the hero version of La Capitan could possibly be a stronger character. We just haven't played her enough because I remember playing her a couple times and there was a couple cards that came up and I was like, I this is objectively an amazing card. Why would I not play this? So I do feel like I'd feel like Captain Cosmic, the Idealist, and La Capitan could rate much higher if we played them more.
Yeah,
Um, Wraith might be in
C,
that same
mainly
mark.
C.
Yeah, like I feel like the latter half of B tier is like this. We're scouting agents and like there's potential there, but we haven't really tapped into it just yet.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely think there is something going on with like we gotta check out B and C tier more, and
yeah,
maybe we gotta D tier. Like the only thing is like
Night Mist. I feel like
setback
I kind of want to
and
give
night
another.
mist.
I want to give another tryout, like because I feel, and then
Yeah,
yeah, setback. I think should get another tryout.
yeah. I
I
because I only
the
used him once.
the other three, I'm content with just closing the door on them, but
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of C tier folks that I'm like, yeah, we probably should play them a little more. But so this is the breakout. How do we feel about this? Three S tiers. We have Tempest, Guys, and Legacy, and then followed by Raw and Omnitron
raw.
X as being high A tiers. Mainstay. I feel like Mainstay is kind of like a very we you can't argue with like between the two of us, we have said nothing negative about Mainstay. We're like he just consistently
Yeah,
brings the damage. Like
I guess the
there
only
is no
thing he does like
he goes through a lot of
uh,
wardrobe. That's all he
I
does,
guess
and a
his
lot of
negative
bites.
is like, if I have to say it negative is he burns through gear fast and he doesn't do much else. But
His
like
gear is meant to be
he's
burned
pretty
though. Like I don't
hardy.
feel
Yeah,
like it's
he's pretty
bad about it.
hardy
It's
when
like
he
yeah,
burns hard.
okay, yeah. He's hardy. Yeah, I think
Yeah. He's not a tank, but he's solid and he hits hard, which is just like raw, but not as good. Which is basically what mainstay is, and it's still good.
well, I think
A bit more range actually.
Mainstay is A tier, and you pair them up with like Legacy, and then you're just getting a little anything that
Yeah.
boosts damage. You're gonna
But
cause
that again, like that's why S tiers are there. They're like you pair them with an S tier and things start breaking faster.
right. I think I'm comfortable with how all those sit. Stuntman, I do think he belongs to A tier, but I agree he can be a little more gimmicky. Fanatic is a little more. I agree, he's still an A
Wait,
tier, but
what do you mean something? Wait, Stuntman should belongs in A tier. He is an A tier.
no, I meant yeah, he belongs. I agree, like he's belongs in A tier, but I do think he's a little more gimmicky than Mainstay, as in
Oh,
he can
okay.
pop off into S tier, but he not necessarily. Fanatic can pop off into S tier, but also
She starts off.
harms
Yeah. What
herself.
else?
She harms herself. Mister Fixer's got a couple. Mister Fixer starts the conversation of like has a couple cards that are S tier cards. You know, I think if we were to do these categories again, I think there might be you need a separate category maybe of um, good characters with S tier card. Like you might have to bring out like S tier card, like do a tier list for cards,
Oh no,
like but
that
like
would be awful.
that'd
That'd be
take forever.
impossible.
It'd take forever. But
It
like
just took us like what 2 hours to do like 30 something characters,
but
close to 30 characters.
I think that like one the tier list doesn't have we would have to manually make that that'd be intensive.
It would be like hundreds.
But I think there is some S tier cards spread across several heroes that like it is hard to ignore that those cards are broken or just so
Yeah,
OP. And I think Mr. Fixer's got a couple of those. The B tiers, I feel very solid about them. Uh,
just skip over Tachyon. We don't need. We don't need it.
Tachyon was probably the most divisive conversation one we had. I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that. Um, I didn't expect Chrono Ranger to be the gatekeeper of the bees. Uh, the naturalist. an expatriate kind of scored higher than I thought they would, and I think that's I think the B tier there could be a lot of moving within the B tier, and it wouldn't shock any
Yeah.
of us. I feel like we could shuffle. I also think like Arjun Adept. I think he's on the
Some of
low
it
end of the
is
B tier,
also
but I feel
just
like
like,
he could really
yeah.
synergize well. And
Yeah. B tier partially is also our opinions on characters a bit. It's like how we feel about them to some degree.
I think some of them might be niche, and like again, they can some situations they're better than others. So yeah,
Yeah.
the C tier
But like you
really.
could you could bring like a bunch of B tiers and you'd still be okay.
The C tier is really for me a unknown tier. It didn't. I thought C tier would be like the you passed the test just barely, but I feel like most of those except for Haka, I
Well,
feel
Knife
I
and
don't.
Haka, I feel,
Yeah, you're right. Knife and Haka, I feel like the only ones we've play tested enough where I'm like, nah, I'm pretty
and
confident.
Doctor.
But even Doctor, I feel like Doctor's probably the next one, but the
Eh,
rest of them, like I feel like C tier is we just haven't played
yeah.
them enough, and D tier, I think
Skyscraper I played once. Lifelink I played once. You played them.
Benchmark and
Uh,
Luminary
yeah,
and Harpy.
once. And then,
And I really feel that Harpy should be higher, but we just haven't I haven't
mm.
played her enough to really vote for her very well. So no, I think I'm happy with this. I think this is a good tier list. I think from next time we will do tier list for villains. I will have to create that. Um,
Uh,
I don't know if
okay.
that'll be for next week or not, or should we
I
just
don't know
let's
how we're gonna do villains. Is it gonna be like what's it like on our opinion of them, or is it going to be like are we grading on like how challenging they were, or just like what we thought of the fight?
I think I don't think we it might be easier for us to not tackle it like S tier and all that stuff, as in like good concept, hard mechanics, uh, you know,
I guess just how memorable they were. I guess would be good.
um, yeah, or I think there's a couple of them where it's like, oh, they should have been hard, but we went in smart, or they should have been easy, but we were dumb, and
Yeah.
brought unity. You know, like that type of conversation. I think I don't
Mm.
know if I mean, I guess we could just do one, two, three, and four, and see if their one, two, three, four matches up to what we thought it was. Um, because some of them are kind of pushovers. There's some of them where you can cheese them. Like if you bring your SA tier, you're gonna own them. But if you don't, like, you're gonna struggle. I don't know. Um,
For a tier listing, this is pretty accurate to what like a tier listing should look like.
I
At least in my I feel
it does actually.
like it,
When I look at it,
because
it
if
looks
you
pretty
took out
balanced on the
curse,
screen.
yeah, if you took out curse, like which is the one we
Well,
added.
cursed is just like an honorary
Yeah,
award, really. Like it's the
yeah.
one person. I tried to put more people in the cursed list, and you were like, no,
No, that's why cursed is special.
you made it special. Yeah, you did.
Oh yeah,
Uh, be as cursed.
yeah. B tier dead center has the most. A tier, which is starting to get like higher, more characters that kind of teeter away from the rest, are just better in general. It's the A's, and then the best character is just an S tier, almost always showing up in games. And then C tier is like they're just kind of whether they're like because we didn't play them much or because we just didn't feel like really great about them. The C tier, and then D is like we tried. They're basically trash, or we didn't play them much, and from what we experienced, they were trash. And then cursed, which is just deep seated disgust.
Deep seated disgust. That's hilarious. Um, I am going to. I'm switching it over to the wheel of villainy to see who is next. But I'm going to remove Iron Legacy here. All right, hold on a second. So,
And the tier lister, another tier list. This
uh,
time we're ranking. We're
yeah,
ranking environments.
yeah, we should rank environments. Why not? But I feel like
Uh,
our game has been so passive about environments. I feel like we will not do that justice at all. So okay, let me remove Iron Legacy from the. Okay, I'm gonna hide this. I'll leave the tier list there. So if next episode is, it can be tier list for villains. We'll say tier list for villains. All right, I'm gonna do a spin.
we haven't even done every villain yet.
Uh, no, we haven't.
We played every hero.
Right.
That's
All
why
right.
we.
So, okay. So I will remove the tier list for now.
Yeah, our main thing with like playing every hero is we played every hero once.
That's
So
true. We have. We can claim
even if it
that.
was only once, we at
And
least
we're
played them
bad
once.
at it. We did play them. So okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna hit the wheel and see what we get.
It's gonna take a little bit
Yeah, I
longer
know
for
it hasn't
mine.
even spun on the stream yet. So
Yeah, there it goes. To start spin, round and round. Where do we land? Let's see. I don't even.
woohoo!
The lifelink, deadlink, whatever he's called.
Deadline. Yeah, I think actually that
Deadline.
is Lifeline's when he was a villain. Um, so
His
uh,
emo phase. I see.
I want to say his ability is like a life stealing ability where like he does damage to you and he heals himself with that, and that's his gimmick. I don't remember being overly challenged by him. I kind of think I just DPS'd him into the dirt, and that was the end of that. Like, yeah, he's
Well,
able
then if it was that easy, then that means we should have
prepare
the
for the
C
long game.
squad.
See,
C squad.
oh, is that it? I guess.
I would feel comfortable taking lifelink, doctor, and skyscraper if you felt comfortable, or like two of those if you felt comfortable taking
I will consider that we should
two
at
or
least
three
take
anchors.
maybe we should do like at least two people that are on the C and D list and have them
Eh,
bring them along. But yeah, I mean I don't of of the people that I remember of the people we have left. Infinitor was kind of like Green Lantern ish. Progeny was very tanky. I remember them being difficult, but I don't remember them me slowing down. Citizen Dawn. I mean, we've played Citizen Dawn several times. I think she is for a core villain. Uh, her minions can be very devastating. She's got a couple like apocalyptic cards. Apostate is Fnatic's nemesis, and I remember sweating with him. I think I think it was one of those. I'm glad I brought Fnatic because if I didn't bring, I want to say he's got relics just like Fnatic's got relics. So like you're essentially fighting Fnatic. Um, but Fnatic has some very powerful cards as we discussed. So uh, and then Wager Master and Dreamer are very gimmicky. Um, they're hard. Dreamer was super hard. I remember banging my head against the wall with Dreamer just because I kept
We
going.
act that's like the one situation where we actually might not want to bring Tempest.
Uh, it's definitely one where you don't want to bring the AOE, yeah, because she only has 5 health, and if she loses all 5 health, she dies. So like, you can't do more than one AOE. So if you bring anyone with AOE, you lose. Um,
Nice.
and she summons these like spectral minions that are super strong. So it's very, it's a good mechanic. It's a good mechanic because you're like So Wager Master, I think there's some shenanigans, just like that's Guys's. You know, I forget there was like, it's definitely some mechanics they built, just like they built guys that you don't see with any other character. Um, but yeah, we're getting down there. So we'll play Deadline next, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 villains counting next week. So 7 weeks we
One,
should
two,
be
three, 4, 5.
done.
I think we're down to six actually. Because if we
So
fight deadline next week, then it's only six for me.
right, it's 7 including Deadline.
Okay.
So
I should probably head off to bed since it's currently 2 in the morning.
that's fair. That's fair. So all right, well,
Uh,
just to let everyone
yeah.
know, thank you for joining Road to Oblivion. Uh, it's been fun. We did tier list and we did Iron Legacy. We'll probably post them separately. Thank you, Coinless, for joining us and
It was fun.
shaking the rust off. And
Oh yeah.
we'll do it again soon. We'll probably. I think we're good to go for next week at least. And then I think we start.
Um,
I'm
I
good for.
might have to miss the week after that because I'll be down at the beach.
Oh, I was gonna say next week we can do it because the week after that, actually, I'm gonna be visiting you. So There's that too. Um,
Uh,
you're like, what? So,
are you gonna? You're
but
going down to the beach.
we can talk about that
We'll
later.
figure that out. Yeah.
So, but I'll let you get to bed tonight. All right, everyone.
Nice.
Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.